Okay, huge movie fanatic Nate stopping on by on Thursday, February 4th for, I believe, the 5th edition of Huge Movie Fanatics Radio. I'm seeing two people are watching. Since this is a chat-driven show, doesn't really start until someone says something in the chat. 3 people watching. What I did last week was took 16 minutes for someone to say something in chat, so I cut out everything. Looks like Wade Wilson is already here, so I can probably pretty much, so it's officially started now. It's a lot better than last week. It took 16 minutes for someone to show up. Dave Caligari is here. Welcome, Wade and Dave. I want to thank Dave also for recommending, what is it, BitChute to watch last week. He recommended BitChute to watch Dead and Buried. I did that. I can't remember who's the one. I think it's C-Snap was the one who asked if I'd seen it and recommended me to see it or whatever. So maybe I'll wait until he shows up to talk about it. I did, in fact, watch Dead and Buried since last week, and I'm seeing 4 people. That's a lot better than last week. Showing up much more quicker than last week, which is appreciated. 5 people, wow. Anyway, I was saying that Gary Page and Jose Gomez are here. Welcome all. Someone recommended for me to watch Dead and Buried last week, and I had, but like I say, I think it was C-Snap who suggested it, so I'm not going to talk about it until he shows up, just so I don't have to talk about it over and over and over. Dave Caligari asks if I've seen Salem's Lot. That's the one I haven't. I wasn't able to find that for free. Now, I'm kind of confused about Salem's Lot. All I can find is a miniseries. Was there a... Is what everyone's suggesting me to see the miniseries, or was there a theatrical movie that came out before or after the miniseries? Researching Salem's Lot, I was confusing. So if people can clear up the confusion regarding Salem's Lot, if they're asking if I've seen the miniseries or if there's a movie, Dave Caligari says yes, so I can only assume he's saying that the movie is basically the miniseries. I'm going to try to... I mean, I don't really want to pay to see it because it's really... vampires or whatever really aren't my thing, so I'm going to try to track it down for free. If not, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to tell you guys how I feel about it. Wade Wilson, Dave Caligari says 1979 TV, so I guess it's a miniseries. Wade Wilson, I watched Deep Star 6 and Friday the 13th Part 8 on my Laserdisc player recently, also after my millionth rewatch of Friday the 13th Part 8. It really kind of stinks. Best kill is definitely boxing scene. Yeah, if you're talking about the boxing on the, one sec, on the roof. Anyway, if you're talking about the boxing on the roof in Manhattan, yeah, that's my favorite. Probably scene and kill in that movie as well. For me, Jason Takes Manhattan is one of those movies that kind of gets worse with age, much like, I don't know, there's something else that did the same. Oh, Jason X. Although I would say Jason X is, I don't know, maybe they're comparable. But I can only assume that Deep Star 6 Laserdisc was the full-frame, quote-unquote, pan and scan version. I didn't know until recently that Deep Star 6 was like that, shot in that like Super 35, where on the widescreen version they cut off top and bottom of the full-frame version to... Anyway, when you watch the full-frame, quote-unquote, pan and scan Deep Star 6, you can see more on the top and bottom than you can see on the theatrical widescreen version, which just recently came out last year by Kino Lorber. I plan to review the movie on Blu-ray later on this year. Wade Wilson says Deep Star 6 is kind of stinky compared to Leviathan, which is much better sea monster movie. Yeah, I talked about, I can't remember, maybe I talked about it in my, my news video that was talking about the upcoming release of the Kino Lorber Deep Star 6 Blu-ray, where it was funny how all those underwater movies came out at the same time, and it was like from the first one to the last one, it was kind of like their budgets grew. So Deep Star 6 came out first, lowest budget, Leviathan, bigger budget, and of course Abyss, which I don't know if Abyss, I think at the time, was the most expensive movie ever made. So obviously that was the biggest biggest budget of the three movies, underwater movies. But yeah, and then you've got Leviathan's fun. You've got Jerry Goldsmith doing the score for that, and good old Peter Weller. And so Leviathan's fun, basically alien underwater. Wade Wilson, says Leviathan is hard to beat when it's basically The Thing in water. Yeah, The Thing or Alien, a combination of Alien and The Thing underwater. But I think Sean Cunningham and crew did a pretty good job with Deep Star 6. Unfortunately, the older I get, the more I can see its budget with Deep Star 6. But, I still like it. And as a matter of fact, one of the things in the Blu-ray, like just a technical crappy thing that was revealed by seeing more of the side, right and left side of the screen when that little, when they explode that underwater cavern and it's caving in, and the little tank track submersible thing is pulling backwards. Like on the widescreen version, you can see that the tank tracks at one point, they're pulling this little model back, and it's like the tracks stop even moving at one point, and it's just like they're dragging it back, and it's just like, oh man, I never noticed that on the non-widescreen version because obviously I couldn't see it. So seeing it widescreen actually ruined that one shot of the movie. It's like, oh man, that sucks. Will Powell's here. Thank you very much for showing up. He's in the UK, everyone. So he's saying good evening. It's 1 p.m. Central Time here in where I am. So that's why, in case anyone's wondering, that's why he's saying good evening. What time is it there, Will? Wade Wilson says there's censorship in Deep Star 6, I believe. They cut off really quick when the monster bites the one guy in half. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, that was an issue or whatever. I guess you get to see enough of the gory. Yeah, you can tell because when they cut to the gory innards of the guy just, slopping around, falling out of the suit or whatever, they show up just really quick, brief moments. So that's pretty much censorship when they show gore really, really quick. Wade Wilson says, or maybe it was to save on its low budget. Will Powell says it's 7 p.m. I can only assume 7 p.m. He says 7. Will Powell says it's very cold. Yeah, there's this huge, apparently, I was going to say nationwide, but apparently maybe it's a worldwide Northern Hemisphere cool down right now. Will Powell's sad he wants to go to the pub, which unfortunately probably never be able to do again, but I don't want to start on that topic again. But yeah, there's this Northern Hemisphere cool down going on right now, and we're just going to start it as well and be basically below. We're going to, for the next week, so the weather says, we're going to scramble to make it pretty much above zero or out of the single digits. We're probably not going to make out of the single digits Fahrenheit for highs and dip into the teens below 0 Fahrenheit for lows. So that'll be really fun. Gary Page says, me too. Oh, does that mean you're in the UK too, Gary Page? Probably. But yeah, I saw Deep Star 6 when I was 12 when it was brand new on home video, and I've got a little soft spot in my heart for Deep Star 6, and makes you think about being a kid again. I remember seeing the trailer for it. I think I talked about it I think I reviewed the movie years ago when I was just sitting in a lake. I tried to think of all the water-related movies while I was sitting in this lake reviewing movies. I think that was 2014. I don't know if I would have mentioned, I don't know, at some point I mentioned it that I saw the trailer on TV, like a TV spot for Deep Star 6, and that shot of the guy getting crushed by the door. It seemed more gory. I think I saw it more gory than it actually is because it's not cutting him in half, it's just coming down on his stomach. But we didn't get a chance to see Deep Star 6 in the theater. It probably lasted in the theater a week or 2 weeks, so that's probably why. But I ended up seeing it for the first time on home video and later on that summer. And I think it seems to me we just I kept renting and renting. I don't know why I didn't record it. I don't know if it would have been copy protected or what, but Gary Page says yes, he's probably in the UK as well. He says Deep Star 6 was great. Yeah, Deep Star 6 is fun. You got good old Harry Manfredini, who I preferred to scoring Friday the 13th films, of course, but he did a really good, I really liked the music he did and the themes he came up with for Deep Star 6. But getting back to the topic of the three underwater movies in, basically 89, it is interesting how they went from low budget to medium to like biggest budget ever. And unfortunately, no one really cared about. I mean, I knew about The Abyss. Saw like the TV spots in that summer, but I never had any interest to see The Abyss because it seems like I can't remember how they marketed it. It just seemed like a love story or some crap. But I ended up seeing Abyss when it was new on home video and loved it. I was like, oh, wow, all this kind of, underwater, whatchamacallit, technology stuff is just really cool. Not to mention the, whatever his name is, film score. His name escapes me right now. Oh, well. Will Powell says, yeah, 7 p.m. just moved into a new house in Cornwall, southwest of England. Well, I hope you like your new place. Wade Wilson says, I have Silver Bullet on Laserdisc. It's a recent purchase within the past month or so. I forgot if I brought it up Silver Bullet before. That's a pretty cool werewolf movie. Now, is that Pan and Scan? Is that like from the 80s or the 90s? Gary Page says, The Rift was another. Now, that's a more new movie, though, isn't it? I think I saw part of it if I'm thinking the same movie. Gary Page also says, oh, okay. He says different name in America. Do you happen to know what The Rift was called in America? Because it was a really recent movie, kind of sci-fi, low-budget crap called The Rift that I saw part of. Wade Wilson says, referring to the Silver Bullet Laserdisc, yes, it's Pan and Scan. Well, that's cool. Like I've been saying since I started showcasing old Laserdiscs, you gotta love the old film to tape transfers. It's kind of adds a nostalgia to them as well. That's one thing that when DVD started, I was just so grateful for, because before DVD started, unless you had a Laserdisc player, which of course I did, there was no way to see those really wide Panavision movies in their full ratio on home video. So before I had a Laserdisc player, you were just screwed. I remember seeing Rocketeer a bazillion times in the theater and being disappointed when it came out to home video. And I was just like, oh my God. Because I saw it so many times in the theater, I knew what was missing in certain shots on the Pan and Scan VHS tape. And it was like, oh my God. How am I ever going to see this full movie again? And I did end up renting the Laserdisc and taking it somewhere. This electronics store, I kind of knew the guy, and he had a Laserdisc player at this electronics store, and he let me take the rented Rocketeer Laserdisc, play it onto a videotape, and put it on tape so I could watch, before I had a Laserdisc player, so I could watch the widescreen version of Laserdisc. I mean, the widescreen version of Rocketeer. Yeah, the widescreen version of Laserdisc on the format known as Rocketeer. Oh my God. Will Powell says, yeah, it's very nice, thank you, referring to his new place. I'm really glad to hear that. Just moving is very strange and kind of feel out of place, but getting used to it. Yeah, I'm I think on one of these shows I talked about maybe last week or something that I'm not a big fan of traveling, and I can only imagine moving. But of course, unlike traveling, it becomes permanent after a while, or at least one would think for a while it becomes permanent. And as you can be able to adjust to that, whereas traveling, you're just like constantly on the move. It's just, I don't have a traveling personality. Wade Wilson says, I own the widescreen copy of Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I actually streamed it earlier for my friends on Twitch. They enjoyed the movie. I know some people don't like Nightmare on Elm Street 2, but I enjoy it. Yeah, I saw some of the very first horror movies I saw when I was just 11, just getting into horror movies, were the first two Nightmare movies on TV, and the channel that played them, from what I can remember, didn't cut anything out except they just muted the swear words. So it was back in the day. I don't know if they probably still don't do this, but it was like they play horror movies late at night and they'd say like viewer discretion is advised. So it's like they'd play. I mean, you're not going to see boobs, of course, but I don't think you see boobs in the first two Nightmare on Elm Streets anyway. But they play, from what I can remember, all of the visuals and just bleep the swear words. So Nightmare 1 and 2 have a special place in my heart because they're like a couple of the first horror movies, the more contemporary horror movies I ever saw. And I do like Nightmare 2. Nightmare 2 is kind of like the Halloween 3 and the Friday 13th Part 5 of the franchise, that they can, it can get some of the most hate, but I've always liked Nightmare 2. Gary Page says, the only reason I got into Laserdisc was to get Video Nasties uncut. So when you say Video Nasties, you're talking about like different movies, like Video Nasties wasn't a Laserdisc. Back in the UK, they called these gory movies or whatever Video Nasties. So when you say that, I'm assuming you're talking about certain movies that you could only get get cut. You could maybe import them or something, or get the uncut versions on Laserdisc. I'm assuming of the more gory movies. Wade Wilson says the widescreen copy of Nightmare on Elm Street 2 on Laserdisc is what I meant to type earlier. I thought that's what you did type. Oh, I guess you didn't write Laserdisc. Okay. But yeah, even before I had a Laserdisc player, the first movie or the first Laserdisc I probably ever rented was Rocketeer, because that was the only way in the early 90s you could have it on home video and widescreen. And as I said, I took it to this electronics place where I knew the guy, and he let me play the whole movie on Laserdisc and record it onto I think I brought my own VCR because I had the hi-fi stereo VCR, so I wanted obviously the movie in hi-fi stereo. Man, such memories. Gary Page says Texas Chainsaw Massacre zombie, yes, imported from America. Okay, so it sounds like the only way Gary Page could see uncut versions of movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I can only assume 74, and zombie and movies of the like uncut, was to import the Laserdisc from America. That's a pain in the ass, but also kind of a fun little hobby. And then when you get them and you can see them, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm one of the only people on my block or whatever, or freaking area or city to be able to watch this uncut right now. It was a time I talked about in one of my Laserdisc videos I did last year, the Laserdisc elitism we sometimes feel when it's like, I'm the only one of my friends who has the extended cut of The Abyss or Aliens. Will Powell says, yeah, same, be honest. I don't know if that's just a typo. Probably same, to be honest, he probably means. When I've traveled, I've always got anxiety. I think I'm a little OCD and like all my comforts around me, especially movies and my bed. That's understandable. I mean, there's some people who you can just throw them out in the world and they'll be fine. And there's some people, perhaps like us, who are a little more anxious about change or stuff like that, and we're just not traveling people and or moving people. Wade Wilson says, have any of you seen Slaughterhouse Rock? It's a pretty entertaining movie. It's also another great, I recently picked up on Laserdisc. It's a great Halloween themed movie. I don't think I have. I've seen Slaughterhouse, but not Slaughterhouse Rock. But anyone out there listening now or after the fact playing this back, Wade Wilson suggests Slaughterhouse Rock. I'm seeing something that says your connection is unstable. Please wait while we... Okay, we might have cut off there. I'm not sure. I got a little thing that said my connection was unstable and they have to reconnect me. So I may have dropped right there. So I appear to be back. Yeah, if I drop or anything, maybe let me know in chat so I know what's going on. But I don't have the best internet. Wade Wilson says I need to refresh because I'm now not live. Yeah, I just had some technical glitch where the thing said it lost, or it was a weak connection, and I had to rejoin. But I think we're rejoined now. Oh, okay. Will Powell is back, and he's chatting in the chat with his. He says, tuning in on my music account. If anyone wants to listen, this is where you click after Nate's radio show, of course. Thank you. Yeah, Will, don't take people away, all the 8 people. Oh, wow, 8 people. Well, now down to 7 people away from my show. You can check his account out later. Oops, I think they're going to your... Look at your music. Now we're down to 6. I got the first thumbs up. Thank you very much for giving the first thumbs up. I was going to say everyone, but one's thumbs up is one person. Will Powell says, ha ha. Yep, thanks a lot. We just lost 2 people after you said that. That's okay. Will Powell says, I wouldn't do that, mate. Well, glad to hear it. Looks like we're back up to 7 people. I think this is the first time I noticed a little glitch. So it appeared I may have cut out for a while there. It appeared there might have been a connection issue. If that happens again, just bear with us. I don't have the best internet in the world. I can't believe it. To be honest, I'm surprised the show the last 4 weeks has went as good as it has with the internet I have. Second thumbs up. Thank you very much. Will Powell says, this is kind of confusing. I don't know what it means. Oh no, and there's some kind of picture or something, and then like the female symbol, and then Will Powell says, sorry, I'm not exactly sure what that's about. Wade Wilson says, I might have talked about this on your other radio stream, but The Brain is also a fantastic movie, another Laserdisc I recently picked up recently. It's a great movie with the pretty good practical effects. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know which movie you're talking about. I have the VHS of The Brain, and have been, is that the one with, what's his name, Dr. Hill from Reanimator? I've been kind of wanting to pick up the Blu-ray on Scream Factory, but I haven't. And it's a movie that, I don't know, I can't imagine really watching myself that often, but it's one of those great late 80s, low-budget kind of horror movies. Wade Wilson says, yeah, we're talking about the same one. Yeah, that's fun, and it's fun to see. I can't remember his name right now, but the guy who played Dr. Hill in another kind of ominous, what word am I trying to think of? Ominous role. Will Powell says, I was worried I'd taken away your listeners. Haha, sounds like they're tuning still. Yeah, well, we still got 6 people it's showing, but looks like the other 2 went and checking out your music. That's fine. They can always come back and listen to this after the fact. Wade Wilson says, yeah, oh, I already said that. Will Powell corrects his typing and says tuning in. Back up to 7 with the 3rd thumbs up. Thank you very much. All right, Summerhill Cinema 700 says, greetings from planet Summerhill. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, incidentally, people showed up in the chat a lot sooner this week than last week, which was nice. I probably don't have to cut out any of the beginning of the stream, because I think what I found out last week, because I cut out the first 16 minutes before people showed up in the chat, and I think it deletes, you don't have the ability to watch the chat playback, which is kind of disappointing. I thought, well, everything would be fine because no one even, started chatting until when I'm cutting, the video, but that's kind of a bummer. And because that can be kind of fun to, have when you listen to the stuff back after the fact, or for people who can't show up. But I basically read everyone's comment anyway, so it's kind of like a chat replay in that aspect. Welcome once again, Summerhill Cinema 700. Anyone who has a comment or question, feel free to put it in the chat, as this is a chat-driven radio show. Wade Wilson says, Rawhead Rex is an awesome movie, even though it's not really scary. Yeah, that's a movie a buddy of mine liked as well, and I never really saw. I want to say, well, at least at one point, it might have been on Amazon Prime for free if you had Prime. Wade Wilson also says, I picked up that on Laserdisc recently. I just enjoy collecting these weird horror movies on Laserdisc. Oh, understood. I mean, I've been showcasing a lot of Laserdisc last year, and the more I did it, you know, people really seem to like those videos even more than my reviews and stuff, and they're a lot easier to do. We'll probably do a lot more this year. But, you know, when I was doing them, I was like, yeah, these are kind of fun. And even when I was showcasing some of the first North American DVD releases of like Halloween movies and stuff, I mean, just brought back tons of memories. And you're holding this thing and you're realizing, God, this DVD is over 20 years old already. And it's just like, oh my God, you know, the time is just disappears. And it's so funny on some of those early Anchor Bay DVDs how it's like it'll say like hi-fi mono on the back, like they don't even know what artwork to use yet. They'll just use the VHS artwork and stuff, and it's just like, that's funny. Like hi-fi DVD, it's like, no kidding. Will Powell says, I watched Waterworld the other night, haven't seen it since the 90s. Probably some things are great about it, but it definitely loses its way and becomes a big mess. Great practical stunts. Yeah, I saw Waterworld in the theater, and I think I talked about this in my review. It was like opening day, I think, and the theater that was playing it screwed up and, you know, just had the 2-channel frickin' film sound playing. It didn't have like the, you know, DTS sound figured out. It was just the biggest bummer in the world, because it would have, you know, sounded great. And if they had the correct sound, you know, it's like they didn't put in the DTS disc, you know, and just had the 2-channel film sound playing. I was like, oh man. But Waterworld is one of those movies where like the the big action scene that should be at closer to the end is like at the beginning, and then it's just like it never reaches that, you know, it's put in the wrong place in my opinion, and then the movie never, because I don't know, traditionally you kind of want to have, you know, work your way up in action scenes and have your best stuff towards the end. But you don't want to put the best thing in the middle or towards the beginning, because then people are going to expect something even better at the end, and when it doesn't happen, it's a bummer. And yeah, I like Waterworld. The Arrow Video version of Waterworld is great with the 3 cuts and stuff, and to be able to see like the extended TV version. So I'm a fan of Waterworld for the most part. I think I reviewed it in a kayak on the water because I'm just like that. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, I just saw Wade Wilson was mentioning Friday 13th Part 8 earlier in the chat. I go to Vancouver once in a while where they film Part 8 and have visited some of the locations. Well, that's really cool. Summerhill Cinema says they still look the same. Well, that's cool. Any ones in particular? Like we can, us people who are pretty familiar with the movie would be able to go, oh yeah, if you mentioned them. That's really cool though. I know you did the same with the location, one of the locations for the original It movie as well. He's got a picture on his channel if anyone wants to check it out. Wade Wilson says best kill in Friday 13th Part 8 is the boxing scene. And I think most of us can agree on that. I also like the music in the movie, even though it might not be totally fitting for a horror movie. I think when he's talking about the music, I think he means the songs versus the quote-unquote film score by Fred Mullen. And we already talked about this earlier. I concur with, you know, that's the best kill and probably the best scene in the movie. I actually like what the humor of that scene is actually spot on, like really, really perfect. That just punching Jason for just forever and forever and forever, and then one hit, Jason knocks his head off. Wade Wilson says, almost sounds like Rocky type music, so maybe a little out of place. Like I think he meant Eye of the Tiger. Oh, yep, he corrected it. Or whatever that song's called. Will Powell says, yeah, that's a fair point. It's basically Mad Max on the water, a great concept. Well, the thing is, I'm kind of biased because I like the summer and being in the sun and on the water and stuff. So from that aspect, it's just kind of a fun movie to watch, just because it's like, although I found out later that the sun baked skin is fake tans that they spread on everyone, and like, oh, that's kind of disappointing, but I guess it makes sense. But just to see like the tanned people on the blue water and stuff is just really kind of, I don't know, just like if you watch it in the winter or something, it just keeps you kind of warm. I just like that, kind of like with horror movies in the woods and stuff, the environment of just being on the blue ocean on all these sunny days in Waterworld was kind of fun. I just think they kind of screwed up by having the biggest action scene closer to the beginning. But the movie sounds really good, like the DTS. One thing I was disappointed about, I never reviewed the Arrow Video Blu-ray I got at Waterworld, but one thing that was disappointing about it is in the extended version, they got the music cues, because there's extra, little bits and pieces of scenes in that, the atoll, whatever, the attack on the atoll scene, that the music isn't properly synced, and it screws up, because I've seen the theatrical version so many times. I know where the music's supposed to be, so then when you watch that version, you'll hear the music cueing, doing certain spots that it was written for, but nothing's they're not the right things happening on the screen. It's really a bummer. But otherwise, like the extended version, it's really cool at Waterworld to be able to see what else they filmed for the movie. And it was really cool at the end of Waterworld, in like the extended version, on the top of on the highest point or something like that of the land that they found, they look at they push away the weeds or something, and they say, this is the top of Mount Everest or something like that. So it's like, so dry land is basically Mount Everest, and it's just kind of like, that's kind of a cool idea. Will Powell says Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is my favorite. Yeah, my favorite Friday movie is the first one, and then Final Chapter. Final Chapter is just so great, and the characters is just so great. And, who doesn't love Tommy Jarvis playing Zaxxon, and his sister, and even his mom, quite honestly, now, these days. Sister and mom are pretty good. Final Chapter is just so great, and I'm just so glad that the Scream Factory Blu-ray just has original mono finally, and looks a lot better than I thought it would. It just looks great. Wade Wilson says, I recently picked up the uncut version of Nightmare on Elm Street 5 on Laserdisc, which has the uncut death of Dan and Greta. Dan's death is probably one of the best kills in the franchise. Yeah, that's one thing I was thinking about the other day. Like, I think the uncut version, the only way you can see it is on VHS and Laserdisc. I don't think even the first DVD that came out has the uncut version, if I'm not mistaken. And that's one thing that Scream Factory would have to do, of course, if they did like a Nightmare on Elm Street collection like they did with Friday the 13th, is, and pretty much have the unrated version also of Part 5, because that was, it's kind of a rarity. And like I say, I don't think the uncut version is on DVD. I know it's not on the Blu-ray collection I got. But yeah, that's a nasty ass kill. It's just like, oh my God. Wade Wilson says, I have Final Chapter on Laserdisc. I actually own all the Friday the 13th movies on Laserdisc, but Part 2 and Part 3 have some issues. Part 3 I own has a bit of Laserdisc rot, and Part 2 has some I probably meant artifacts or something. Yeah, if you guys may or may not know, I've got all of the Friday 13th on Laserdisc, and even have Jason Goes to Hell, and of course, Jason X. I don't believe, I'm pretty sure they stopped making Laserdiscs. Who knows? Maybe Jason X is on like a foreign Laserdisc. I don't know, but the last quote unquote Jason movie I have on Laserdisc is Jason Goes to Hell. It was actually one of my first Laserdiscs I bought when I got a player in '94. Summerhill Cinema 700 says mostly the back alleys, which still look nasty. Yeah, I don't doubt it. The rooftop where the boxing match took place also looks the same. I didn't actually climb up on the roof, though. Maybe next time. Yeah, bring your video camera, too. Oh man. Well, I don't know if that's safe, or you're probably not supposed to be climbing up on that roof, to be honest, but that sounds really cool. Yeah, I mean, pretty much a back alley is going to be a back alley anywhere, but it's still cool that you found that stuff. If you guys haven't seen my review of the Dario Argento movie by the name of Trauma that I did like a year ago last fall, like in 2019, I actually visited some of the filming locations for that movie because that movie was shot in the Twin Cities. So I was actually able to drive out to some of the filming locations from Trauma, and I included them in my review of the movie. So that was kind of cool. That was my only, I think that's my first filming locations video that I've done on this channel, because there's not, I mean, I guess I could do things like Grumpy Old Men film locations, but I don't really care enough about that. I mean, Dario Argento movies, whole nother thing. So if you guys haven't seen that video, maybe at some point you could check that out, because I went through quite a bit of work to find and go to these. I can't remember if it was 3 different filming locations, I think, from Trauma. So that was kind of fun. I should upload probably just a Trauma filming locations video separate, because the whole review is like over an hour long. So I should just upload the film, the Trauma filming locations as its own little short thing. Will Powell says, yeah, the first Friday is classic. It's very schlocky popcorn, but that's why I like it. And I like the woods as a setting. Yeah, for you guys, for you guys here that don't know, the filming location for the first Friday 13th movie at Camp Novi Bosco is my #1 all-time filming location I'd like to visit. But probably won't happen, but that's okay. If I could pick, to go to any filming location, that would be it. I'd just probably wet myself if I got to go there, and like, maybe not so much like if I was in a tour group with a bunch of people, but if I could just walk around on my own, on my own time, and that would just be great. But that's okay. I can just watch the movie to see the locations. I'm trying to find where I am now. Holy crap, where am I? In chat. Where am I? It's like his. Oh, okay. Wait, it's like he deleted his comment. I'm confused. I'm lost. Okay. Well, anyway, so after his Summer Hills comment about he didn't actually climb on the roof, maybe next time. It looks like you deleted your comment or something. I don't know what the hell happened, but Will Powell says, yeah, I always like to watch Jaws and Jaws 2 to get the nice warm feel. Oh, in regards to being on the water. Well, what's ironic about those movies is they're in sweaters and shit, so I don't think they're really even warm in those movies, but I hear you. Will Powell also says, I find Kevin Costner's character very strange. It's a bit jarring. They could have written it better. Yeah, he's kind of an asshole, but in a way I like that, because if you're a muto or whatever the hell he's called, I mean, you just spend, it's a shitty world and it's all every man for himself. I mean, you're gonna be an asshole in that kind of environment. So I felt like he was almost an anti-hero, but I actually liked that about him, because most heroes aren't assholes in movies. I mean, he starts out an asshole and then turns into not so much of an asshole. So I guess it's a little bit of a character arc, but yeah. Summer Hill Cinema 700 says the first Friday 13th is also my favorite in the series. I plan on reviewing all the Scream Factory Blu-rays this summer. Looking forward to it. Yeah, and I just watched, since our last show last week, the extras on Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, and hearing where what's his name, director of Jason Goes to Hell, is coming from is interesting, but I can't say I really agree with much of it. But and oh my God, Noel Cunningham looks like a drug addict. I mean, his hair was all greasy, and he looks like, yeah, I think he's, if not a current drug addict, a former drug addict. And what was I really impressed about was to see how looks like, what's his name, the writer of Jason X, kind of got in shape, and he actually comes across in the interviews as a really kind of a nice guy. So Todd Farmer, he got himself a little bit in shape, and he actually came across as a kind of a nice seeming guy. And just David Cronenberg rewrote my lines. I don't have a problem with that. Looking forward to your reviews of the Friday 13th movies this summer. Summerhill. Wade Wilson says someone is reconstructing the Laserdisc of Nightmare on Elm Street 5 and upscaling it right now. He's uploaded it on YouTube and will be releasing the full film for free on his website. Okay, so someone must be using a Laserdisc to put in the uncut shots from the uncut version of 5. That's a good idea. Wade Wilson, okay. Gary Page says, yes, Friday Part 1, great, gory, and after that the censors seem to cut the sequels. Exactly. Well, I mean, they, the uncut version we have on Blu-ray now is, wasn't seen in theaters, but I think you're right, even in regards to the R-rated version of the first Friday, then they, what was that whole bullshit with that, the supposed shooting of that supposed beetle or not supposed beetle, that the beetle in 81 that effed up supposedly was the reason to censor the horror movies like My Bloody Valentine and the Friday sequels and stuff. So thanks a lot. But Will Powell says, yeah, the first Friday is classic. Okay, I must have skipped some comments because that's the one that I did a while back and I got lost. I'm kind of behind on chat here. Dave Caligari says, did you ever see the Friday 13th fam Never Hike Alone? Yeah, please check out, type in Never Hike Alone in my little search bar of my channel. You'll see that I have, in fact, reviewed it. I really have. I think they put out a sequel, but I don't know. I'm kind of over the Friday 13th fan films at this point. I don't really have any interest to check out the sequel, Something in the Snow or whatever. Wade Wilson says the first Friday 13th is my favorite in the series. Right on. I'm right with you on that. Wade Wilson says the Laserdisc of it is pretty nice, but a bit darker than the DVD and the Blu-ray of it. It also has a slight extended scene in it, not in other versions. Now, I don't remember that aspect of it, but it could be because I haven't seen the Laserdisc version in a long time. And he says the aspect ratio looks slightly off on the Laserdisc. Yes. Let me tell you what I did last year. I popped in my Laserdisc of Friday 13th and then on a widescreen TV, and I did the thing where you stretch it from side to side. And I think what they did with that release is instead of pan and scanning it, they basically just squashed the wide into the size of a TV. So when you stretch it out on the wide, so it stretches out to, I don't know if you've got this feature on everyone's TV, but if you take Friday 13th Laserdisc or VHS, which probably a lot of people don't have access to anyway, and you stretch it out to side, I think it's the correct aspect ratio, which was really interesting. I just figured that out last year. So I think that is why the Friday 13th Laserdisc looks squashed, because it is. A lot of times you can tell if you have like a full moon or circular object, if it looks not circular and more like an oval, that's what they did. And I think that's what they did when they had those really widescreen movies of Universal movies. They just took the 185 Universal logo and squashed it so they could make it fit the size of like the Jaws, a widescreen movie that was Universal, because the planet Earth in the logo is squashed. It's not spherical. Oh, Wade Wilson says, I think it's either thinner or fatter. I forget at the moment. Yeah, it's thinner. It's squashed. Yep. He says it's a squashed image, if I remember correctly. Jose Gomez says Dr. Giggles, 1992. Yeah, I've got a pretty decent number of views on my review of that movie. I've reviewed that movie on my channel. Anyone check it out who hasn't? It's one of my most viewed videos on the channel. Will Powell says, I just thought the arc of his character could have been better. 1 minute he seems happy to throw a little girl into the sea, and the next minute they're best friends. Well, this goes back to the, I don't know if you've seen the fully extended version, the TV version, they call it. I mean, there's a lot of character development stuff that they cut out to make the movie shorter. So if you haven't seen the TV version of Waterworld, I would highly suggest checking it out, because it definitely, delves into more of the character development stuff. So that might fix your problem with the movie. I mean, to me, I think the TV version is the better version. My only problem with it is because there's extra footage in that siege on the atoll scene, the music's all screwed up. So if I could do a cut where, well, the problem is you're not going to be, you just have the theatrical atoll siege scene with everything else added to it. That would be perfection for me. But I hadn't seen, back to the Wade Wilson topic of the Friday the 13th Laserdisc. I hadn't seen that forever, and I just popped it in for a while last year. I was gonna actually contemplating putting it on DVD, but I'm like, God, this is so crappy. And that the version that I showcased on my channel in whatever it was, 2018 or 19, has got a lot of, that's the used one I got for $3, and that's got rot as well. And I'm like, do I really want to put this rot Laserdisc on a DVD? So I didn't bother with it. But it was interesting to go back and see how dark the first film to tape transfer Friday the 13th was. That's cool how there's now there's 4 total film to tape transfers of that movie. You've got the original tape / VHS, the first DVD from 99, and then the remastered DVD from 09, and now the 4K version from Scream Factory. So 4 different transfers now of Friday the 13th. Will Powell says, oh, right, I'll check that out. Makes sense. Yeah, if your TV can do that, where it stretches, something from side to side out to fit the screen, what I found last year is it's perfect, or maybe not perfect, but a lot better. So that's really cool, because I was like, why does this stretch feature even exist? Because I don't think that was like the first movie that I ever saw that actually, is beneficial to have that stretch from side to side feature on a widescreen TV. But I'm like, oh, okay, that works. Will Powell says, I felt like something was missing. And once again, just like I think I said last week or whatever, feel free to, or be sure to, at some point, check out Summerhill Cinema 700's channel. I don't know, is there anyone else besides Summerhill here? And where is he? He hasn't said anything for a while. Oh, wait, I'm just used to his other older avatar. Okay. Is there anyone besides Will Powell and Summerhill Cinema here that actually has videos and stuff they make that I can plug their channel? Because Will Powell makes music, and Summerhill Cinema 700 makes videos talking about movies and Blu-rays and movie related things he's into, which is very cool. Gary Page says, is the 4K Friday a big difference from normal Blu-ray? Yeah, check out my review of it. It's like a love, I guess I wouldn't say hate. I mean, it's a like-dislike relationship with me. Like, I said a kind of a controversial thing where I think a lot of fans, don't agree, which is fine, where I kind of felt because the budget of the original movie is so low that the first Blu-ray release of it was perfect. And I almost feel like the new scan of Friday the 13th is almost too sharp. So it's kind of like the situation where technically it's better, but I've just lived with the first Blu-ray of it for 10 years. So I guess I'm used to the first Blu-ray so much. And I really just think the first Blu-ray of the first Blu-ray release, or the first high definition transfer of the first Friday movie just suits it. Not to say I'm not going to ever watch the new 4K scan, but I just feel like there's going to be times where I'm going to be like, okay, do I want to watch first Blu-ray or 4K scan Blu-ray. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes moving forward. But that's my input or advice when it comes to, or my little thoughts when it comes to the new scan of Friday 13th. What I love about the release is that they have, the theatrical version on a separate disc as an option to watch, because that's the version I grew up with. So I really like having that aspect, or that option to watch. And how cool is it that, the two cuts each have their own disc. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, me and my sad sail. I don't know what that is. And we met a guy once with an almost exact replica of the boat from Water World. Huh. So there's some big fan out there that tried to recreate the mariner's boat or something. Me and my sad sail. Are you talking about like a little sailboat you have or something? Summerhill Cinema 700 says, thanks for mentioning my channel. Oh, no problem. I mean, I think out of all the people in chat now, besides Will Powell, you two are the only guys who actually that I'm aware of, that make content. So if anyone else is here, and I can also mention that, their channels, feel free to do so. I mean, Summerhill Cinema is just another one of us like me. And, even if people don't make content, obviously the people in chat right now are passionate about the same stuff. So just a guy up in Canada talking about his passions for movies. Wade Wilson says, Nate, what do you think of the best, or what do you think the best Friday the 13th Laserdisc is? Is it part 6, part 7, or part 8? I think it might be part 8, but part 6 and 7 aren't half bad looking. They look pretty good too. To be honest, I haven't seen any of the Laserdiscs of those movies since the DVDs came out. But so I guess that's my answer to it. You're going to know better than me. But I mean, I think, I don't know if it was you possibly who mentioned it on my review of the recently released Blu-ray of 6 or something, that probably was you mentioning like the Laserdisc looks really great. And I think I don't know, I'd probably say that, from what I can recollect, 6, 7, and 8 probably are equally good and stuff. But I guess I don't know. I haven't seen them for a long time. They probably all look pretty good. Wade Wilson says, best looking Laserdisc out of the bunch is what I'm trying to ask. Yeah, I can't answer that because I haven't seen them since the first DVDs came out. I kind of retired them after they came out on DVD. Will Powell says, would the first Friday 13th been better ending if the last shot was her being pulled in the water by Jason instead of her waking up in the hospital? Yeah, so I was just thinking about this the other day, because what's his name on the interview, the director of Jason Goes to Hell was giving part 1 trash, part 1 and 2 trash for having this kid pull this woman out of the canoe and then being a grown man months later. And I think the way it is in the movie is perfect, because if you had just cut to Jason, pulling her in out of the canoe into the water and then cut and have it be the end of the movie, it would have been more like, oh, wow, that happened. The way her waking up in the hospital, I like, because it makes it more like, what did that happen or did it not happen? And as a fan, to answer Adam Marcus's criticism of part 1 and 2, as a fan, and this is what I love about it, you can think whatever you want about the end. As a fan, I like to think it was in her imagination that a young, rotting Jason didn't come out of the water and actually pull her over. I think it was, as a fan, that's how I view the end of the movie, that it was a nightmare, and she fell into the water by having waking up from the nightmare. But that's an interesting question. So the answer to that is, obviously, I think the movie's good as it is with the waking up in the hospital, because it asks you to question what happened more closely. I think if you didn't cut to that, you would have been like, oh, I don't know. It can work either way, but I like the way it is. Oh, Summerhill Cinema meant to type dad, not sad. Oh, wow. You and your dad sail. That is super cool. Yeah, I'm a water guy myself, and I'm more of a kayaker. But I'd definitely be interested in sailing. It's just hard to do alone, whereas kayaking, you pretty much is all about doing alone. That's really cool. Okay, so you guys must have come across someone that's really cool with a trying to recreate the Mariners' big boat or something like that. Well, now you're making me want to see videos of you and your dad sailing, but obviously it's your choice whether or not you want to film that and share it with us. Summerhill, I just looked at your channel last night and saw, looked at the oldest to newest and saw some of the first videos, and that little animation of the war in Africa was pretty fun. I think I saw that a while ago and saw it again. I'm like, yeah, that's fun. And you're just starting out years. The silent war in Africa. But what's really great, I don't know if I can only assume you did this on purpose, but you had the army men behind the tank advancing forward. That way because obviously you can't animate the legs. So by having them behind the tank, it makes it, you're hiding the fact that their legs aren't moving, which I can only assume you did on purpose. Fun little animation video. The Silent African War. Will Powell says in regards to the end of Friday the 13th, yeah, that's a good point, actually. I guess leaving it ambiguous at the end is cool. Yeah, because in my thought, if you just cut to the end credits after Jason pulls her out, that's saying more or less that this really happened. But if she wakes up in the hospital, did it happen? And my contention is no. She had a nightmare and fell out of the canoe. Because obviously Mrs. Voorhees filled her head with these visuals of my Jason who drowned. So that's how she can, and that's how her brain can form this nightmare image for her to have a nightmare. That's what's so great about that movie. And yeah, I think the ending is perfect as it is. And that shot of Adrienne King when she's turning, after she says, he's still there, and turns towards camera, that super beyond close-up. What an amazing shot. And the music. Oh, they really did a great job with that movie. Summerhill Cinema says, oh man, that was fun. Glad you enjoyed it. I honestly never even thought about the soldiers behind the tank, but it works. Yeah, I figured that's why you had them behind the tank, because these little plastic soldiers, you can't animate their legs, so how can you have them advancing if you can see that their legs aren't moving? So I guess it worked out. Maybe your subconscious figured that out or something, but it worked out regardless. Will Powell says, are you a fan of Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor comedy movies? My favorite is Stir Crazy. I love Gene Wilder. I grew up with and think Young Frankenstein's amazing. I'm pretty sure I reviewed it on the channel if anyone wanted to check it out at some point. I'm not so familiar. I've got some of the ones where he's in a movie with Richard Pryor. I think I got some of those on clearance DVD years ago and stuff and watched them. I can't say I've even watched all of them, but I mean, they don't, I guess, I don't know, those ones, I guess because I didn't grow up with them, they don't, I guess I can only say I'm not so familiar with the ones where he's in with Richard Pryor, but I generally like Gene Wilder in general. I mean, to me, like just I haven't seen everything he's done, but for me, Young Frankenstein is like probably just, for me, the best Gene Wilder movie. I mean, it's comic genius. And how daunting in like the 70s to shoot and release a movie in black and white. That's like then they do a movie later on, which I'm a big fan of. I mentioned before, Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. They being, I guess, Hollywood, not the same people, but Steve Martin and what's his name would do another black and white movie in the early, or not another, well, I mean, you know what I'm saying. they would do their own black and white comedy movie. And Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, I think, is beyond underrated. And it actually had, it was this movie that took place in the 40s. And if anyone doesn't know about Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, it's this comedy that takes place in the 40s. It's shot in black and white in the early 80s. Steve Martin has, he looks so good with his gray hair dyed black. And it's all about using clips from old classic movies from the 40s with James Cagney and all these old Hollywood stars, and integrating their movie around actual clips from old movies and having them interact with all these famous stars. But one thing that's so amazing about Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid is they got some people who were making contributing to movies in the 40s. Like the guy who did the music actually did the music for movies in the 40s, like that one famous one, Double Indemnity. Like the guy who did the music for Double Indemnity did it for Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. So it's an actual authentic guy who wrote music for movies in the 40s doing the music for this, comedy from the early 80s that takes place in the 40s. And also Edith Head, who did just in the old days, just this numerous costumes for Hitchcock movies and just movies in the 40s and the 50s. And she did the costumes. And that maybe there's other people that actually were part of, the movie who crew members who worked on movies in the 40s, who worked on Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. That movie is so underrated, and I wish more people knew about it because the music is so beautiful, and obviously the costumes are amazing, and the movie is just really fun how they have these scenes that they shoot around to make it so they can, oh my God, it's hard to explain, They're using scenes from old movies and integrating them into their movie, and having Steve Martin interact with Cary Grant from another movie and all this and that and all these old stars. Summerhill Cinema says Silver Streak is one of my favorite Gene Wilder movies. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that one or not. I got a couple over the years, clearance DVDs with them in, and I don't know if that's one of them or not. Wade Wilson says, I know the stream is mostly about movies, but do you play any horror video games? Yeah, anything goes. Well, not anything. I don't want people talking trash and bullying everyone or anything like that here, but we don't have to just talk about movies. We can talk about whatever, and preferably not politics and shit and depressing stuff. But yeah, I remember when, was it like the early 2000s or whenever the Evil Dead, and it wasn't I want to say it was PS1, Evil Dead came out for PlayStation. That was a huge deal. Me and the buddy at the time both got that, and that was awesome. And it's just really ironic that the first horror video game on PlayStation was Evil Dead, and that it wouldn't have been Friday the 13th, a much more well-known, or Nightmare on Elm Street or something more well-known. It was like the most obscure of the horror franchises, But I remember when Evil Dead came out on PlayStation, that was huge. And then I think they'd subsequently put out more horror video games and stuff. And unfortunately, they put out Friday 13th games so late, whereas I don't have the latest system I have is a Xbox 360, so I don't even have anything to play the new one on. But from what I understand, the new Friday 13th game is like online only, and I'm not interested in that. I just want to, I don't know, have it be a normal one-player game or whatever, where it's got a story or whatever. But I can't really think about any other horror video games besides that. I was never really into like Resident Evil and all that kind of stuff, but I guess that answers that question. Like Evil Dead from PlayStation 1 just came to mind. I know they did other Evil Dead games after that, but at the time that was like, oh my God, Evil Dead on PlayStation. Will Powell says, highly recommend Stir Crazy. Yeah, I can't remember if I've got it or not. I might. Dave Caligari says, Dead Men with Johnny Depp in black and white. Oh, Dead Man with Johnny Depp in black and white. Okay. That's cool to know. Gary Page says Blazing Saddles was a classic. Yeah, I think I saw that with my mom in the theater. I don't know when that came out. Maybe it was a reissue because it would have been in the 80s. Is that when the movie came out in the 80s? Blazing Saddles? Either either we saw it first run or it was a reissue or whatever, but I can remember I think seeing that with my mom. I don't remember anything about it. See, the thing is I'm not the biggest Western movie guy in the world, so Will Powell says, yeah, I love Gene Wilder. He always seems to have the repressed anger to him that comes out in his films, and it's hilarious. Yeah, seeing him just yell at the top of his lungs in Young Frankenstein is just like, I think there's a little bit of, what's that called? Um, this might be a little bit of, I can't think of the word right now, more than acting going on here. Will Powell says, at least that's what I take from his performance. Wade Wilson says, I recommend In Bleed and Clock Tower 3 video games. I'm assuming both these video games are great horror games. In Bleed is a cheesy horror game with a lot of charm, and Clock Tower 3 is really creepy horror game. You know, another thing that just reading that I'm thinking about is the video game for the movie The Thing. A buddy of mine also got that, and I got it years and years after the fact, you know, when it really cheap used and played a little bit of it. But I can remember that from what I saw of it being good, you know. My buddy was I watched a little bit of him playing, and he was inside some building, and outside the window you could see this thing slowly walk by outside. It was just like, oh my god, it was like the Thing, you know, but it was just so creepy. Thanks for the recommendation, Wade Wilson, on the horror video games. Will Powell says, yeah, Summerhill Cinema, Silver Streak is a very funny movie. Wade Wilson says, well, In Bleed is ridiculously expensive nowadays, so if any of you want to play it, you'll have to burn a copy to CDR and play it on your Dreamcast. I own the legit copy of the game, wink. C-Snap's in the house. He says, hey, greetings from Dublin. Fistful of boomstick. Oh, gosh. Yeah, was the PS1. Okay, so it was called, yeah, it was called Evil Dead Fistful of Boomstick, wasn't it? And Wade Wilson says, to speak more about In Bleed, it's a horror amusement park style game, and you guys must play it if you don't own a Dreamcast. Emulate the game on PC. Yeah, I can honestly say I don't have a Dreamcast. Welcome, C-Snap. Now, I want to say you're the one who recommended me to see Dead and Buried last week. If that's correct, let me know. I've since seen it. I was waiting for you to show up so I can briefly talk about it. I've since seen it. Our good friend here on the chat last week, Dave Caligari, informed me where to see it on BitChute, and it was probably the Blu-ray rip. And it was just, ironically, I think, announced yesterday that it's going to be coming to 4K, a Blu-ray from Blue Underground. Not that I don't know if any of us here have 4K. I mean, I'm of the age where I'm just sick of continuously rebuying movies. So I'm going to, try not to get 4K as long as possible. C-Snap says, yes, that's right. What do you think? I thought it was cool. It didn't blow my ass away. I really like Dan O'Bannon's sense of humor. One thing I really liked about it was like the same year as My Bloody Valentine, and I felt like it had that same kind of small city town, really quaint feel to it, being like that fishing town and stuff. I guess it's not something that I feel like I got to go out and buy, but I mean, it was definitely cool. The main guy who was like the cop or whatever, I can remember seeing him and stuff. I liked in other stuff probably, and I thought he was good. And his wife, I think, was she the girl who'd end up being in probably around the same time that I don't know. I'm not very familiar with it, but whatchamacallit? I can't think of it right now. Flash Gordon movie. She's really cute. But yeah, I mean, I guess I can say it was probably more so than most movies, actually kind of creepy the more it went on. And I guess it reminded me of other movies like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and stuff. But, yeah, it was it was interesting to it was one of these movies that unfolds, and yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. I don't feel like I got to go out and buy it, but it was definitely good. And like the end, I'm not going to spoil the end, but like the end, as in like the final reveal and stuff, was cool. Gary Page says format wars. Exactly. I'm just so sick of at this stage of the game buying movies. I'm just kind of done. I'm going to go as long as I can without buying movies on a new format. C-Snap asks about the eyeball scene. Yeah, it was a lot quicker than I thought it would be. But yeah, I mean, anything with protruding into the eyeball is always going to get you. I thought it was kind of cool how that woman snuck in like in the background, like the two guys were talking, and in the background she just nonchalantly goes into his room, and like, yeah, that another thing that was creepy about that scene is like I think the only thing, like, just the one eye hole was uncovered in like his mouth, and it's just like, yeah, that was, I mean, yeah, the eyeball scenes are always going to get you. But I was surprised how quick it was. I thought it was going to be more slow and dragged out like Zombie, I'd say that would be the eyeball scene from Zombie is going to be much more nasty than the eyeball scene in Dead and Buried, but definitely a fun movie. Summerhill Cinema 700 says they have an original Terminator 2 Judgment Day arcade machine. That's cool. Who's they? You mean they make it? C-Snap says she was in Flash Gordon. Yeah, she's cutie. Summerhill Cinemas says, sadly, it's been closed with everything going on. Oh, you're talking about someplace you were just, you'd had been able to go. You'd been able to play the original T2 arcade game. I see. Yeah, well, it's a bummer that, we can't do what we have known or been able to do our whole lives. And I don't want to get into it. Yeah. Gary Page says, C-Snap, it's very underrated. Wade Wilson says there's a Flash Gordon on laser. I can only assume you mean Flash, unless you do mean Flash Gordon on Laserdisc. Oh, okay. So you did type correctly, which I'm assuming is some softcore porn, exactly, or maybe not so soft. Who knows? C-Snap says James Farentino ended up in the blue. Oh, okay, that's where I know him from. The Airwolf, or the Blue Airwolf, Blue Thunder TV show. Yeah, I got the show on DVD, the collection. C-Snap agrees with Gary Page. And what did he say? Oh, I'm being about Dead and Buried being very underrated. C-Snap says, thumbs up, glad you liked it. Oh, yeah, I definitely liked it. But like I say, I don't think I got to go out and buy it. But definitely cool. And it's funny as the movie wears on how it's just like it's more creepy and creepy, because I think as the movie wears on, I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So I guess we'll just simply say that as the movie goes on and you find out more and more, it gets more and more creepy. And, the last shot is just like, oh my God, just kind of fun to end the movie with. It's hard to talk about this and try to not spoil it at the same time for people who might, not have seen it yet. But thank you for recommending it, C-Snap. It was definitely, worth seeing. Checked it out on BitChute, which looks to be probably a Blu-ray rip. And as I said, anyone who's interested in Dead and Buried and has the means to play 4K discs, I guess it's just been announced that Blue Underground's just gonna put out a 4K disc of it. But as I said, I'm not doing 4K, and I'll try not to as long as possible. Let me just get a drink of water. So I put out the question earlier about people here, and I regarding, if anyone else except for or besides Summerhill and let's see here, Summerhill and Will Powell actually, make content on their channels, and apparently no, or if so, no one cares enough to say so. But for those of you just tuning in or whatever, be sure to check out Summerhill Cinema 700's channel. And as I scroll back up, I think it's Will Powell's channel. For Will Powell is into making music, and Summerhill Cinema does what I do as well, talk about movies and Blu-rays and upcoming Blu-rays and things of the like. So from what I know, everyone who's in the chat, they're the only two who do their own stuff as well. Wade Wilson says, has anyone here seen Forbidden World? That's a pretty nice movie with some nice tatas in space. Yeah, I like 2 or 3 years ago, I streamed that on Prime Video, and that brings me to another topic. Don't let me forget to talk about this afterwards. I just recently seen within the last week on Prime Video Star Crash as well, which is the same kind of thing. But yeah, Forbidden World is like a low budget Roger Corman sci-fi schlock fest with some hot ass women in it that is just naked, just sitting around naked in a steam room and stuff. So Forbidden World is really fun. And I think the Blu-ray, it seems to me like, I was contemplating over the course of some time, should I buy the Blu-ray or not? But it's like, why buy the Blu-ray if I can just stream it? And it's not like I want to see it very often anyway. But it seems to me like, Scream Factory put out a Blu-ray a while back and recently did a Steelbook new 4K scan thing, which I think was limited because I think that's done. But I'm not sure if you can still get the first Blu-ray or not. But yeah. Forbidden World is really funny. It's mostly just, bad, low-grade Roger Corman sci-fi stuff, but that one chick in it, oh my God, you see her completely naked and she's just hot. Like if you just, oh my gosh. And yeah, I just recently in the last week saw Star Crash, and I couldn't believe it that John Barry did the music for it. I didn't think he did music for bottom of the barrel, low budget sci-fi schlock movies. I'm like, oh my God, he's like one of my favorite film score writers. And the score, which I've been listening to, they got the original soundtrack score on YouTube. I mean, it's just beautiful because, well, obviously it's John Barry, but I couldn't believe that John Barry, they got him to do the music for it. He kind of makes the movie a lot more, referring to Star Crash, a lot more watchable than it otherwise would be. But those goofy ass sci-fi movies like Roger Corman or whatever they are so fun. And what's cool about Star Crash is it's like there's a lot of spaceship shots that look to be like not optical effects. It's almost like they're somehow, having these spaceship shots in front of a real background when it's not an optical effect. Like they're really having models in front of a cool star background. And what's cool about the star backgrounds is like they're all different kinds of colors, like they're different colored planets and stuff. So I'm talking now about Star Crash, but Star Crash is another one along the lines of Forbidden World, but I think it doesn't have any of the TNA like Forbidden World. I mean, Forbidden World is like just almost just softcore. It gets to the point of being just women just sitting there naked in like a sauna thing, and it's just goofy fun. Will Powell says, got to go for now, Nate. I've been feeling a little isolated recently, especially with moving house, so this has cheered me up a bit. I'm glad to hear it. If you're still here, thank you for joining. Feel free to return in a bit. I'm sure we might still be here for a while. If not, we'll see you next week. Thanks. I'm sorry about the isolated feelings. Winter can really suck, and I can only imagine moving really sucks. I don't know if you're still here, but take care, and we'll see you next time, whether it's later today or next week. This is I think the first time I've seen him in the chat, and of course he's got to have a word that's hard to pronounce. First Similitude 86, welcome. Hey Nate, are you a fan of the V series from the '80s? Robert Englund is in it. Yeah, I can remember seeing that. I don't know if it was a rerun of it, but I can remember seeing it in the '80s. I might have even watched it when it on its first run, but I subsequently got it on DVD, but I haven't really watched it. So I'm very familiar with V with Robert Englund, but I haven't seen it in the longest time. But I can remember liking that, you know. So, and like I say, I got the thing or the miniseries or whatever it was on DVD. I just haven't watched it. But thanks for showing up. Verisimilitude. I think I'm saying that correctly. But that's the answer to that. You know, classic. You know, pre-Freddy. I think it's pre-Freddy. Robert Englund in that. Thanks for the question. Wade Wilson says, I own Forbidden World on Laserdisc. Maybe you should pick up the Laserdisc version. Yeah, it's a option. So is that released from the 80s or the 90s? Is that widescreen or just like quote unquote full frame? Gary Page says Star Crash is a classic. Yeah, I just saw it for the first time last week or since the last stream last Thursday or the last show. And I'm probably going to watch it again because the music really makes that movie watchable. And you gotta love, like, I think the same thing is in like whatchamacallit, Forbidden World. I think they have some guy in a robot suit too. And you gotta love the robot suit, you know, C-3PO rip-off robot suits, and even the schlock sci-fi that just is trying to take, you know, movies like Star Wars, their success, and try to do their own, you know, piggyback off it, that are just crap. They're fun in their own way, you know. Gary Page says it's Christmas tree lights for stars. Is that what they really did? That makes sense. I think it really, even though like the stars are different colors and stuff, I think it looks freaking great. And like early '80s kind of disco, you know, fun crap. C Snap says I went to see John Barry in Dublin, one of his last appearances before he passed away. He played the Bond theme and also Black Hole. Oh my God. I'm pretty jealous of that. Black Hole is one of my favorite film scores ever. He is a great composer. Yeah, his sound was so freaking like just gentle and just endearing. It's just, I don't know how to describe his sound. Just beautiful, just gentle. You know, so much of his stuff, just his themes. I highly recommend anyone to go check out. You know, on YouTube, Star Crash. You know, OST tracks. You know, I've been listening to that stuff all week since I saw the movie on YouTube. The music. Thanks for saying that. That was so cool. That must have been so cool to see, man. Wade Wilson says it's full frame and it's 80s Laserdisc, I believe. Well, that's cool. Verisimilitude 86 says, Nate, what are some classic movies you haven't seen before which have been on your to watch list for years? Gosh, I can't say that I can think of it offhand. A lot of times people, like last week and stuff, you know, in the chat, asked me about certain movies, I guess, that I hadn't seen at the time. Like, you know, I was asked about Dead and Buried, which I hadn't seen, Salem's Lot, which I hadn't seen. I still haven't been able to see. So I guess, you know, up until last week, I'd since seen Dead and Buried, and Salem's Lot still one I haven't seen that people said last week that I should see. C-Snap says Black Hole is a dark movie for Disney. It's a classic now. That scene with Maximilian killing Anthony Perkins. I know I saw that when I was a kid, and that spooked me out. God. Yeah, Black Hole is a favorite, and I'm so glad they put it on Blu-ray. I don't know, you got to be a member of the Disney Club or some crap, but if you guys saw my review of the Black Hole Blu-ray, I just got it off eBay. I'd rather pay a scalper than give any money to Disney, I'll tell you that. But Black Hole is just so freaking awesome, and the music, the mood of it is so like just depressed and just foreboding, and oh my God, it's like a hopelessness that just surrounds that whole movie. Like, oh my God, and the half-assed kind of 2001 wannabe ending was fun too. Wade Wilson says Nate needs to watch Nightlife, Night Flyer, The Kindred. I think I've seen The Kindred because I got the VHS, but I don't remember it. And he needs to emulate Imbleed, pronounce the name right. Well, I can't say I can do that because he will love Inbleed. I'm not pronouncing, ill. Maybe that's what you mean, Illbleed. It's Illbleed, like illness. Okay, like mental illness. Well, I guess you got to ask Wade Wilson what I need to see. He seems to know more than I do. C-Snap says, I'll watch your review on it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've got if you're talking about the Blu-ray, Black Hole Blu-ray, I've got that. And I was so glad I got that came out. It quietly came out not last year, the year before, I think, or whatever, for its 40th anniversary on Disney Club crap horse manure. Wade Wilson says, I have Nightlife, Night Flyer, and the Kindred on Laserdisc and have no problem streaming it for you guys because I like you guys. Well, thank you very much. Verisimilitude 86 says, maybe you have talked about it on your channel before, but are you a fan of Madman? Okay, here's a good question. I've been meaning to do another review of it. I'm pretty sure I reviewed it a long time ago, but I've since gotten the who the hell put it out on Blu-ray? Vinegar Syndrome, I think, put it out on Blu-ray. I'd since gotten that years ago, and I've been meaning to talk about the movie and the Blu-ray. I think Arrow Video did too, but I think I'm not sure if that works in. Did Arrow? Okay, well, whether they put it out in the United States or not, I think I got the Vinegar Syndrome one. Yeah, I'm assuming we're talking about Madman Mars. Madman. That's a movie that, oh my God, it's like a love-hate, maybe not a love. It's a like-dislike relationship because it can be so boring. But I like the fact that it's kind of like, because of maybe just the only time they could schedule filming. I kind of like how it's a summer camp horror movie that's more like in the fall, just probably because that's when the only time they could get a hold of the location was or whatever. But I like that about it, and there's things I like about it. But I mean, on the whole, Madman, it can get so slow. I guess I wouldn't call myself a huge fan of it, but I mean, I like it enough, obviously, to buy the Blu-ray. Wade Wilson says, I think that's the character's name in regards or referring to Madman Mars. Correct. Wade Wilson says, I think Humongous is a better version of Madman. Never seen I probably not even. Is it Humong? I don't know. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. I don't think I've seen that. No. Let's see. When's the last time Summerhill? Are you still here? Sounds like I'm pronouncing Humongous right. Verisimilitude 86 says, I reckon Adam Green was inspired by it with the Hatchet franchise. Yeah, I can't remember if I've ever reviewed Hatchet. I got the DVD a long time ago for like $3 and wasn't a fan of it, unfortunately. I just felt like it was trying to be too goofy or whatever. So unfortunately, I'm not a fan of Hatchet either. But, I mean, I appreciate what it did or whatever. I just thought it was a little too tongue-in-cheek, for my opinion. Wade Wilson says, I can stream the Blu-ray of Humongous if you guys would like to see it. I own the real blue copy of it, not a rip off the web. Summerhill Cinema says, I'm here. Okay, glad to hear it. I think normally you say good, farewell or goodbye before you leave. So you're probably just listening to me trying to answer all this stuff and read it and pronounce things correctly. It's also helpful having people telling me what I need to watch and play, because I can't always remember. Verisimilitude 86 says, I recommend you see Adam Green's Digging Up Tomorrow. It's fun. Thank you for the recommendation, but I guess after seeing one Adam Green movie, I guess I'll leave it at that for now. It's probably not the best attitude to have because, just because you don't like a movie of one person doesn't mean you're not going to like anything else. But Wade Wilson says, I know the type of stuff you like, Nate, so I know what to recommend you, whether it's video games or movies. Well, that's cool. Summerhill Cinema says Madman is a fun one. I reviewed it in 2018. Summerhill, what's your take on Madman in regards to it, potentially having really slow spots? Do you agree with that, or am I just nuts? Gary Page says Exorcist 3 hospital night scene scared the shit out of me. Yeah, I've reviewed Exorcist 3 not long ago. Well, maybe a couple years ago. And pardon me, a famous non-carbonated water burp. Yeah, Exorcist 3 is pretty much, that's just got some masterpiece moments. That is so great. And that scene just takes forever, and it just makes you think nothing's going to happen. And then the person comes out of there with the head clippers. Oh my God. How great is Exorcist 3? Wade Wilson says, have you seen he's asking Summerhill if he's seen Humongous. Versimilitude 86 says, I'm going to see the Wrong Turn remake today. Any interest? I think I mentioned it last week or something. I don't know. I'd see it for free. I don't think I'd pay any money to see it. Then it occurred to me right after I was talking about the Wrong Turn remake. It just slapped me in the face. I'm like, they're remaking movies from 2003, and then I realized, that's only, that's almost 20 years ago, and I reacted to that like, oh my God. I was just so flabbergasted by realizing that the original Wrong Turn's almost 20 years old. So I'm afraid like I say, I'd probably check out Wrong Turn remake if it was free on Prime or something, but I wouldn't pay money to see it. C-Snap says, Count Yorga. Guys, check those movies out. Oh, I think you said that last week. Sounds familiar. Either that or Deja Vu. Wade Wilson says, Humongous is a horror movie, not a porno, even with the ridiculous name, wink. Oh, yeah, I think I can remember the title, so I was pretty sure it wasn't an adult film. Summerhill Cinema says, I honestly have to watch it again. I can't remember. I know I enjoyed it, though. Well, that's cool. Just because I think there are slow parts doesn't mean everyone has to. He also says, no, I haven't seen Humongous, but it's on my to-watch list, Wade. And then Wade Wilson says, Wrong Turn has a remake? What the fuck? And he smiles. Yeah, it's just recently revealed, I think, that the trailer was just recently announced or shown. Revealed. I used to be able to say it. Versimilitude 86 says, yeah, I agree. Madman can be very slow in spots. Yeah, it's just like, what are you doing? But even though it's slow in spots, like with the truck scene is fun, where the whole issue with the truck and it not starting because of something being in the way and the motor and stuff. But yeah, there's some scenes that with Madman, it's just like I can handle like a slow spot here and there, but it seems to become a recurring thing with that movie, unfortunately. Wade Wilson says Madman has a nice song tune to the movie. Yeah, I forgot about that. Thanks for mentioning that. That's true. The Madman song is fun, and I'd sing it if I could remember it, but I'll try to remember some of it. Versimilitude 86 says, agreed, Wade. Wade Wilson, I can't believe the fridge scene. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think that's one of the ones I was kind of thinking of when I was thinking of the boring scenes and scenes in Mad Men that are just kind of goofy. That's kind of what I was thinking of. I know how the tune goes, but it's like dun 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 dun. He hid amongst the tree. See, I can't remember the freaking lyrics. Something like dragged off their body. Oh, full moon in the air. The night, I don't know, went crawling. Full moon witnessed as one by one. Yeah, they trespassed his ground and chose to take chances. Yeah, it's coming back. Oh, my singing made someone leave. I don't blame you. First Similitude 86 says, any plans, Nate, to do more reviews with your friend you started the channel with long ago? Yeah, I don't talk about this much. The story with that is, I mean, people, he was, let's see here. He was like 23 when we started, or 24 when we started the channel. So, I mean, he's since become more of an adult, and we just lost touch. And there's probably, I mean, I would suspect, especially with the horseshit way the world is now, that don't expect to really see his return, because he got himself, I don't know how much he'd want me to reveal, but he got himself married and he has at least one child. And I mean, I think you can kind of understand. I mean, he was hard to get a hold of before he got married and had a child. So, then you throw in the horseshit situation of the current world. I'd say we'll probably never see him again. But I'm always welcome to. I'd be open to it, but I can only assume that it's probably not going to happen. The last time he showed up was 6 years ago this spring. And then after that, it's adulting. I mean, turning into an adult, and it's not always the best. So it's more like, there was no falling out. The thing is, we were coworkers. We were never necessarily friends. So we were coworkers, and then the video store we worked at went out of business. And right before that happened, I'm like, because we'd always talk movies and the shift change, and I was like, I'm gonna kind of miss talking movies with you. Do you want to start a YouTube channel and talk movies after this place closes? Because it's kind of fun talking movies with you. So he agreed, and we did that for several years. And life happens, and I can only assume he just became pretty much unavailable or whatever. But so it was, I don't think there was any kind of falling out. It was just, I can only assume being married with at least one child and being moving from early 20s into, mid 20s to adulthood, finds probably that he doesn't have any time to get together to talk about movies. But that's the answer to that question. Probably won't see him anytime soon. I'm open to it if he's out there and here's this. I guess I might as well say years and years ago, he actually commented on a video and said he's on vacation, but he's interested in shooting. Maybe this was 3 years ago, interested in doing some reviews. And I said, cool, let me know when you get back and we'll set something up. I never heard from him, so that's the last I heard from him. So I'm definitely open to do more. But as I said, with the bullshit state of the world I would say it probably won't happen anytime soon, but I think I've answered that question. Wade Wilson says, what do you guys think of House on Sorority Row? I have the Scorpion Blu-ray release of it and the remastered last release by Scorpion. I think Scorpion released multiple releases of it. Yeah, I think I reviewed that movie as well. And that's a classic, and actually has a pretty nice score by Richard Band. Gary Page says, you'll be singing this tonight, probably referring to the, pardon me, another water burp for you all, probably referring to the Madman song. I think House on Sorority, I haven't seen it for a while, but I think it's a fun, TNA sorority early 80s movie. I think that's the one with the fat guy who's like in the pool and he said, I'm a sea pig. But I think I was starting to say that it's got a cool score by Richard Band, an actual orchestral score. It's always funny to me how these composers like Harry Manfredini and Richard Band, when they're starting out and they're young, they have access to like actual instruments, and as they get older, all they got access to is keyboards. But I guess it's just, you think it'd be the opposite. Like when you're younger, you're going to only have keyboards, and when you're older and more, you know, you've done more movies and you're getting further on in your career, that you're going to have access to more things. But it's like the opposite. But I haven't seen it in a long time, but I'm a fan of House on Sorority Row. The remake thing was a joke, was just called Sorority Row. I remember that being mostly a joke. I think I reviewed both of them on the channel. I haven't seen them for a while. Versimilitude 86 says, I know what you mean. I didn't see a lot of my friends much now since they've all gotten families. Exactly. That's what happens when people get married, and especially when they have kids. But like I said, when we started 10 years ago, he was 24, and now he's 34. A lot changes. So there's definitely no falling out, or at least on my end. It was just life happens, you know. It would be cool, especially now that this year is the 10th anniversary of the channel's, establishment. It would be cool to see him, but even if he, even if he could, look at what they turned the world into. So Gary Page says things will get back to normal soon. We can hope. I think Versimilitude 86 is a little bit of more of a realist. He says no, they won't. He's crying tears of laughter. Gary Page says, I know, but what do you say? Well, what I like to say is we're fucked. Keep it real. I think we're all fucked. But let's keep it positive here. Wade Wilson says, Creepshow 2 is awesome, and I own the Arrow video release of it, which is a terrific Blu-ray. The video quality on it is impressive, in my opinion. Yeah, as I stated last year, or last week, felt like last year, I'm not the biggest fan of the movies that have like the 3 separate stories in it, but I'm glad you like it. Wade Wilson says, I believe we've all seen Creepshow 2. Yeah, I've seen 1 and 2. But I'm not the biggest fan of movies with 3 separate stories in it, unless it's like, tell you what, I give Screams of a Winter Night a pass. That's just a classic. Versimilitude 86 says, Nate, what do you think about Cunningham launching another lawsuit? You mean as in just recently? I didn't know about it, but I think that guy should have enough money, or if he doesn't, that's his fault, his own fault. Yeah, if you're talking about something he recently did, I had no idea about it, and the thing is just, obviously it's a joke, but oh man. I mean, you think that guy would have been successful enough if he knew how to take care of his finances. He should be fine. Plus, he's almost going to be dead anyway, so I don't know. But his son, I talked about this earlier. After in between the last show and this week, I watched the extras, the new extras on the Scream Factory, Jason Goes to Hell, and Jason X discs, and oh my God, Noel Cunningham looks like a former or current drug addict. He couldn't even wash his hair for his interview. C-Snap says Creepshow 2, the Chief Wooden head story was good, and the raft. Yeah, see, I think I was, when I was talking about Creepshow 2, I was remembering that. Me being a fan of water and ponds and lakes and stuff, I can remember the raft being fun. And I think if I were to pick between Creepshow and the 1 and 2, I'd probably pick 2, because I think 2 might have even been more interesting. So I agree with you. I think the Chief Wooden head story was kind of cool. And was it like slime on the pond or something? They couldn't get off the raft or something. So now that you mentioned those details, that was kind of cool. Verisimilitude 86 said, I just watched a location video on Creepshow 2, the raft segment Love 1 and 2. Okay, so someone on YouTube like did a location video for that, the raft scene from Creepshow 2. Yeah, I can tell you that, I'm not the biggest fan of the first one, but I probably like Creepshow 2 more if I had to pick between 1 and 2. But I'm not familiar with either of them very much. Wade Wilson says, have you guys seen TerrorVision? It's another movie I own Blu-ray, and I think the movie is awesome. It is oozing with 80s beauty. 80s is my favorite decade, as I believe is many of ours' favorite decade. Yeah, I've got that. I've got the original Vestron video VHS, and then I got that. I think it's out of print now. The Scream Factory double feature with what's the other? Yeah, the other one is the Video Dead, isn't it? That's on there. I mean, personally, I don't know. I guess the goofiness of TerrorVision isn't really to my style, but I can see why someone. I mean, it definitely. It's got the 80s oozing out of it as far as TerrorVision goes. It's just really not my forte. It's too much like, for me, it's I don't know. It's really not my forte, but it definitely, it's great for an 80s lover. C-Snap says Hal Holbrook, The Fog, and Creep Show and many other movies passed away. His son was on Creepshow 2. Also, yeah, it was just recently revealed that in fact, happened or was purported to have happened since the last show, and I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. But for me, I one of my favorite Hal Holbrooks is Rituals. I'm a big fan of the movie Rituals. I think that's in a lot of ways it's underrated, and it's like a Deliverance ripoff that I think if you watch my review, I think it rivals Deliverance in a lot of ways. Wade Wilson says Video Dead and TerrorVision are both awesome movies. Yeah, I like Video Dead more, I think. TerrorVision for me is just a little too, I don't know what the word is. It's like showy, it just, I don't know, just too loud or something. I guess I like things that are more subdued, and Video Dead is a little more subdued, Talk about a low budget movie too, Video Dead. I'd seen Video Dead when I was probably 14 years old. I've got the original VHS tape too. That's another thing I've been meaning to review as well. It's just not a lot of time. Gary Page says, C-Snap Creepshow 2 is good. I like George Kennedy. Okay, that reminds me that he's in there as well. Wade Wilson says Rituals is a great movie. Exactly. It's really, really great. And I got the DVD from whatchamacallit they put out. Code Red, I think, put out the DVD, and it's based off the transfer of Lawrence Dane's archival print that he's got. I've never got a Blu-ray of it because I don't think the image has really improved very much from the DVD, so I've pretty much just got DVD. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I reviewed Rituals. If anyone wants to watch my review of that sometime later or whatever, it's definitely like I said, it's like a Deliverance ripoff that in a lot of ways rivals Deliverance, and I think I explained why I think that in my review. Verisimilitude, I'm kind of behind here. Verisimilitude 86. Yeah, Cunningham is now saying Paramount and Warner Brothers owe him money. Yeah, it just sounds like he exhausted his funds and is looking at a way to replenish them. To me, it sounds like a bunch of baloney. Yeah, that's a bunch of baloney. Those are my thoughts. C-Snap says George Kennedy is great. Agreed. Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen what the hell is it called? Airport. Airport's a classic. I generally pull it out during a blizzard. Whenever there's a blizzard, I'm like, okay, let's get Airport. Let's put airport in. Then the music for airport. Dun 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 dun. Oh, that's great, isn't it? That movie's fun. I mean, it's just dumb fun. Airport. C-Snap says Video Dead had a great VHS cover. Yeah, that was one of the best things about the movie, to be honest. You're right, though. Whoever they got to do the cover did a great job. Wade Wilson says Warner Brothers is a scummy company. A lot of these production companies are awful and treat their customers like poo. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Gary Page says Backwoods Horror Just Before Dawn is good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked about that last week or the week before. Last week or the year before. And I've done, I did a review on Just Before Dawn, and then later on I got the 88 Films Blu-ray and reviewed it separately. Verisimilitude 86 says Ritual is a spooky flick. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I guess I wouldn't call it spooky, but it's cool. But that's cool if it spookies you. Wade Wilson says, speaking of George Kennedy, I have Just Before Dawn on Blu-ray. I forgot which distributor it was. I think my copy is 88 Films release I own of it. Yeah, that's a fun release of it, although I would imagine, I don't know if all the releases are pretty much the same, I would think, like the transfers. But that's a fun movie and a fun release, and the ability to see the two different versions. Summerhill Cinema says, I thought the Video Dead was really weird. I'll have to rewatch it. I think I can remember you reviewing it and not, I mean, I'm not saying it's a great movie. I don't think it's a great movie because I don't think you liked it much. And I agree. I don't think it's that great. But I guess I guess I'd rather watch it than if I had to pick between the TerrorVision or Video Dead in that Blu-ray double feature, I'd pick Video Dead because, I mean, TerrorVision technically is probably a better movie, but it's like too Rocky Horror Picture Show for me. I don't really like that kind of flamboyant, just crap, I guess. And I know I'm going to get crap for not liking Rocky Horror Picture Show. But yeah, Summerhill, it's not like it, you know, I don't think you missed anything. I think you saw it correctly. The Video Dead really isn't that amazing. It's super, super low budget. But like I said, I think the cover is probably the best thing about that movie. C-Snap says, love Airport. Yeah, Joe Petroni, yes, the Petroni maneuver. He just wants to get back home to his wife. When I used to work at that video store, that I met Matt. Matt was the guy who I started this channel with 10 years ago. I used to, you know, if it was going to be a blizzard in the forecast and I had to go to work at the video store, I'd put Airport DVD in my bag and play it at work at the video store if there was a blizzard. It was just so fun. You know, I'd go out and Airport would be playing. I'd go out and shovel the sidewalk and come back in, and Airport would be on. Just so much fun. I'm just such an anal movie fanatic that if there's a blizzard outside, I got to put a movie with a blizzard on. Another one that's actually really that I reviewed years ago, and it's a really obscure kind of straight-to-video movie from the early 2000s is Black Cadillac, and it's probably one of my favorite low-budget straight-to-video movies of the 21st century. I actually, yeah, if anyone wants to check out my review of Black Cadillac, that's another one that takes place in the winter, but unfortunately they had to like simulate winter. They probably shot it in California or something. But that's a really, it's got a great atmosphere to it, Black Cadillac. Yeah. Joe Petroni. Verisimilitude 86. What are your thoughts on Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow? The Friday the 13th fan films. Yeah, I reviewed. Someone asked that. I don't know if I can only assume it wasn't you. Someone asked that earlier, and I reviewed the first one, and I really don't have any interest in seeing the second one because I'm kind of over the Friday the 13th fan films. So I thought the first one was fine. I mean, probably better than the 2009 movie. I mean, let's face it. The irony is, the fan films are better than the real Friday the 13th. They're probably, if they were still making Friday the 13th, like I'm sure Never Hike Alone would probably be better than the next one that comes out. I've lost pretty much faith in them to make decent movies these days. I think possibly, and I don't want to call what the hell is that called? I don't even know what the production company that did the new Halloween movie. I can't even, Blumhouse. Possibly if Friday the 13th went to Blumhouse, depending on who the hell they got to do it, I can see them possibly making something better than the 2009 debacle. But it's ironic that people doing fan films are making better Friday the 13th movies than the actual Hollywood. Summerhill Cinema says, I saw one of the worst zombie movies the other day called Hell of the Living Dead. It's an Italian movie. It was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Damn it. You're thinking if it's Italian and it's a horror movie, it's just going to be good automatically. That's unfortunate. I can't remember if I'd ever seen that. I think I've heard of it. Hell kind of sounds stupid, doesn't it? Hell of the Living Dead. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Wade Wilson says, have you guys ever seen a movie called Twisted Nightmare? That's a pretty cool movie, maybe a little slow at spots, so I don't know if Nate would like it. I think it's similar to Madman. I haven't seen it myself, but chances are if it's like Madman, I probably wouldn't like all of it. I mean, who knows? Different. I mean, there can be different kinds of slow. Like, just because it's slow doesn't mean it's automatically bad. I guess just Madman's kind of slow. I mean, it's. I guess it's like where the slow happens in Madman. It's kind of happens in the spot towards the middle and towards the end where movies should be picking up instead of slowing down. That's another movie that's like backwards, like Waterworld. Like it's Madman starts interesting and then it just slows down when it should be speeding up or getting more interesting. So Wade Wilson says, I own the Blu-ray of Twisted Nightmare and it's the code red release. Okay. I can honestly say I don't think I've seen that one. C-Snap says, here's one for you. William Peter Blatty's The Ninth Configuration. Excellent movie. If you liked Exorcist 3, you will love this. Same style and atmosphere. Well, that's amazing. That's really great. I didn't, Exorcist 3 was so good, and I was kind of wondering if he'd done anything else. So that answers the question. I didn't know he did anything else. I'm sure it's good. So I'm assuming he directed it then, because if that's the case, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, I think what he did with Exorcist 3 was just amazing. For me, it's you take the second Exorcist out of the equation, and you just pretty much consider 3 part 2. Thank you very much for bringing that up. I didn't know he did anything else, but one can only assume he would have because Exorcist 3 was so great. Gary Page says, Ninth Configuration, now you're getting heavy. C-Snap cries tears of laughter. Yeah, it's heavy, but worth watching. Okay, then that's what's heavy. You mean it's like one of these. Gary Page says it's a classic. Stacy Keach, Scott Wilson. C-Snap says, yeah, and Jason Miller. Gary Page says, yes, brilliant. Okay, now I'm intrigued. Anywhere online for free? That's what I said, by the way. Summerhill Cinema says, I'm a huge fan of Italian horror, but oh my God, was that bad? Sorry to hear it, man. And you probably bought the Blu-ray or something. Verisimilitude 86 says, would you be interested in seeing an origin story for Jason and Pam? Yeah, I've often thought about what I'd do if I did like an Origin Friday movie. Like, there's so many things that are mentioned in the first movie that you could, that you could do a movie about. But I guess I'm torn as a huge Friday the 13th fan. I guess I'm torn because it seems like when they run out of places to go forward, they go back and try to make stuff about Origins. And I almost feel like, maybe just let sleeping dogs lie and just let it be. So I guess 25% of me would be open to Origin, and the rest 75% of me would just say forget it. Part of me would be interested in to see it if it was done right, but most of me is like, eh. C-Snap says in referring to whatever the ninth configuration that yes, he directed it. That's very cool. Was that before or after Exorcist 3? And what's this about it being heavy? Wade Wilson says, I know this isn't straight up horror film, but what do you guys think of the movie Legend with Tom Cruise? I got that on DVD years ago for like $3. I don't think I've ever watched it. It's just in one of the many freaking Blu-ray/DVD piles, so I can't comment on that. Yeah, Ridley Scott. I mean, that's got to be pretty good for being Ridley Scott. C-Snap says, liked Legend, Ridley Scott fan. Wade Wilson says, Legend reminds me of Zelda a little bit. He also says, I own Legend on DVD, Laserdisc, and VHS. Sounds like Wade Wilson's a fan. Verisimilitude 86 says, I'm actually trying to make one. I'm working on the script for a part Origin and sequel to part 4. Well, that's cool. So are you going to do a fan film? That'd be really cool. You're just like doing a fan script. Gary Page says, C-Snap explained to him the ninth configuration. Wade Wilson says, Nate has to watch Legend. Well, that's something I can definitely do, seeing as how I have it on DVD in a pile. It's not like I have to try to search for it free online because I have it. So possibly by next week, maybe I can give it a watch and come back next week with my thoughts, I guess. CSAP says, ninth configuration was before. It's from 1980. It's an arty film, but watch it. You should dig it. Wow, okay. I didn't know William Peter Blatty did. See, I was kind of, without researching it, I kind of just thought maybe he just directed Exorcist 3 was one and done, but that's very interesting. Thanks for the info on it. Wade Wilson says, I can't believe he owns the DVD and still hasn't watched it. Well, if you saw my DVD piles, you'd believe it a little more easily. I'll try to make a point of it, and since it's going to be below 0 for the next week, I'm sure I'll have plenty of time to watch Legend and let everyone know next Thursday how I feel about it. Thank you for the recommendation and the title bringing up. It's kind of cool that I actually have it, so I don't have to try to search for it free online. C-Snap says, Gary, too difficult to sum up. That's understandable. Plus, maybe it'd be funner just to watch. I don't like to know everything about a movie before I see it. I don't even read the back of boxes. I just like the movie to tell me what it's about. So that might be a good answer. Verisimilitude 86 says, yeah, fan film. I have half the cast in place and already a camp that I can shoot at. Well, gosh dang, that's really cool. Be sure to let us know your progress on that. All right, we've been going for about 2 hours now. Chat's unusually strong for being 2 hours in. Thanks everyone for showing up. Look, I'm seeing 8 people here. I think it's Verisimilitude 86's first time in the chat, so I'm glad you could make it. Wade Wilson says, What's the best werewolf movie? Silver Bullet, The Howling, American Werewolf in London, or that one 2000s werewolf with the military and werewolves? Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, but that's a kind of a fun question. I'd say they each have their own charms. That's an interesting question. I'd say they're all three do it in their do it do it just fine in their own way. Verisimilitude 86 says, glad to be here. Yeah, I'm glad you could finally make it. You know, I feel bad when people, leave comments on, past streams and say they couldn't make it or they didn't get a chance to show up. So it's always nice when they get a chance to participate. But back to the question of the best werewolf movie. Oh, you got a burp there. Sorry. It's just non-carbonated water coming back at you. I'd say, all three of those werewolf movies, does their own thing really well. What's everyone else's take on his question, What do they think the best werewolf movie out of Silver Bullet, The Howling, and American Werewolf in London? Because I think they all do do it fine in their own way, and that's what's cool about different movies do different things differently. Oh, C-Snap says Dog Soldiers. Yeah, I haven't seen Dog Soldiers. Wade Wilson says, or is it a play in words? Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about. Gary Page says American Werewolf versus The Howling was it when I was a kid. Wade Wilson says Dog Soldiers is the name of the movie and it's an awesome werewolf movie. Gary Page says Dog Soldiers is very good. C-Snap says the Beast Must Die is one of my favorite werewolf movie. I love the werewolf countdown clock at the end. I haven't seen that one myself. Verisimilitude 86 says, have you heard they are making a new sleepaway camp documentary? But no, I think Summerhill Cinema 700 made a video about that. But one thing I did see is I just went to sleepawaycampmovies.com, and last summer's update was something about a TV series, which is just like, because for the longest time after the debacle of Return to Sleepaway Camp, the plan was to do Sleepaway Camp Reunion 3D, the movie, and that was the plan for a long time when 3D was brand new. It's the sequel to Return to Sleepaway Camp was going to be Sleepaway Camp Reunion 3D, and luckily that never happened. And then, of course, after once it went to 3D, then it went to remakes, and then they were talking about a Sleepaway Camp remake. Now they're talking about a Sleepaway Camp like remake TV show or something, and it's just like, oh my god. And of course, the thing on the website says it'd be new characters and stuff like that. I'm sure there'd be cameos from the cast, the classic cast or whatever, but oh my god, just let it go. But yeah, I don't know anything else about the Sleepaway Camp documentary. C-Snap asks, are you a fan of Body Count from 1986, Friday the 13th ripoff? But great stuff. I can't say I've seen it, so it's probably another one of these titles you're going to go, you come on, Nate. You haven't seen Body Count? Is it online? I can watch for free. Wade Wilson says, Verisimilitude 86, are you an 86 baby too? We both have Superman logos in our avatars, and we both might have been born the same year. We are twins. Gary Page says, I don't know what the hell he said. Verisimilitude 86 says American Werewolf in London, then Silver Bullet for me. The Howling is meh. C-Snap says, come on, Nate. FFS, I don't know what that means. And he laughs out loud. I do kind of feel like out of all three, American Werewolf, Howling, and Silver Bullet, like Silver Bullet might be maybe the most, I don't know. I mean, I didn't like The Howling either. Yeah, I don't know. I still think they all have their own things going for it. The Howling's grown on me. I mean, I don't. I'll just say that they all have their own things going for it. Wade Wilson says, I have body count on one of my external hard drives, and I could definitely stream it for you guys if you want. Verisimilitude 86. Yes, I was born in 86. He laughs out loud. Wade Wilson says, I'm a Leo. C-Snap says, I met D. Odato. I don't know what that is, and got my body count signed. Oh, he must be the director. Italian director did Cannibal Holocaust. Gary Page says, that's cool. C-Snap says, Nate, you will love body count. I don't doubt it. If it's kind of like a Friday the 13th ripoff. Oh, that reminds me, in my ongoing, which is now like 5 weeks old, my ongoing quest for a Blu-ray of Silent Madness, Amazon, the price went down on Amazon to like $28 and something cents, so I ended up getting Silent Madness on Amazon. Obviously, it's probably not going to have that slipcase thing, but I don't really care about the limited slipcase thing, so I'm excited to watch it in actual 3D. I think it'll be fun. Someone put up a clip on YouTube in Anaglyph 3D of a scene from the movie, and it looks like the depth is going to be amazing, so I'm excited for that. Wade Wilson says that black and silver Superman logo reminds me of one of the Superman toys I played with as a kid, where Superman had a black outfit and a silver S logo. He also says, I think that Superman toy might have even had a gun that came with Superman, which is kind of weird when you think about it. Why would Superman need a gun? That's a good point. Verisimilitude 86 says they were going to do a Sleepaway Camp sequel where Angela escapes from Smith Grove, Dick swinging in the wind, and all. No joke. Yeah. That sounds lovely. Yeah, so, I personally don't think Robert Hiltzik will probably get anything more off the ground sleepaway camp wise. Who would finance anything after seeing Return to Sleepaway Camp for him, unless he's doing it himself? C-Snap says, okay, guys, gotta go. My recommendations, 9th configuration, body count. Take care, guys. This was fun. Thanks a lot, Joe, for showing up. See you next time, possibly. Thanks for the recommendations. Wade Wilson says 9th configuration. Never seen that before. Yeah, apparently C-Snap recommends it. It's from William Peter Blatty, the guy who did The Amazing Exorcist 3. So I wasn't sure, pardon me, if he did any other movies. Apparently he has. So it's like 10 years before Exorcist 3. So I'm sure it's probably good. Verisimilitude 86 says Return to Sleepaway Camp was awful. I followed that production for years. Yeah, I did too. And when I finally saw it, I was like, now I know why this almost never came out. Wade Wilson says, well, I know what I'm tracking down online, referring to Ninth configuration, I'm assuming. Just give me a second. I'm currently doing something else. Bear with me. Sorry about the silence there. Wade Wilson says that movie is all over the internet, not even a hard one to find. Well, that's good to hear. Gary Page says it's a good film, seek it out. The Ninth configuration. Wade Wilson says I'm broke, so I can't buy any new movies at the moment. Did you ever get your, Wade Wilson, did you ever get your Funhouse Laserdisc yet? He says no. Is that something you ordered, or you're eyeing? You just got it in your crosshairs? Wade Wilson says I end up buying GTA 2 for Dreamcast. I guess he spent the money on a game instead. No love for Funhouse Laserdisc, huh? Wade Wilson says I tried to order it on Laserdisc database, but the person never accepted the order, so it didn't go through. Well, that's a bummer. All right, so about 2 hours and 18 minutes into this, why don't we just go until 2:30 or 2 hours and 30 minutes, and we'll probably call it good. So another 10 minutes or so of huge Movie Fanatics radio fun for this week. Once again, everyone who's still here, thank you very much for showing up this week. And sure, like I said, last week took 16 minutes for anyone to show up in the chat. This time, I think someone said something within the first 2 minutes, which was good. I probably won't cut out any of this video because I think, from what I experienced last week, when you do an edit to a live stream, it destroys the playback of the chat playback, which is kind of a bummer. So I'll probably just leave it, since it starts pretty soon after the video starts anyway. Oh, shucks. Austin Wilcutt just showed up just when I said, oh man, we've got like 10 minutes left. Oh, I feel bad about that. Oh man. Welcome, Austin Wilcutt. We've been doing this. We're 2 hours and 20 minutes into this. Yes, he says I'm late. I'm afraid so. Wade Wilson asks, have you guys seen a movie called Rush Week? I've seen it in the past, but get everything about it. I recently picked it up on Laserdisc. I cannot say I've ever heard about that. Never heard of that movie. Gary Page says, Nate, I've got to go. I have a fat Yorkshire Terrier to take out for a walk, and then it's bed for me. See you next week. All right, Gary Page. Walk safe, sleep well. I think he's in the UK, like another gentleman who was in the chat, Will Powell, earlier. Austin Wilcutt says, I got Basket Case Arrow Blu-ray recently. Congratulations. What do you think of it? Was that the first Blu-ray you got of it? The extras are cool. Wade Wilson says, I also picked up a horror sci-fi movie called Transformations on Laserdisc recently. It's another movie I know I've seen in the past, but I forget if I liked it or not. It has a great Laserdisc cover. Transformations. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of movies out there I've never heard of. Verisimilitude 86, the Arrow release of it, of The Mutilator, is amazing. Great to see it uncut finally. Yeah, that was a huge deal when it came out. Seems like it was quite a while. Was it 6 years ago now? It was a big deal when The Mutilator Blu-ray came out, because that was like one of the titles that people really wanted to see on Blu-ray, and couldn't think of a better outfit to put it out. Ha! Austin Wilcutt says, I would go on for another hour. I bet you would. Well, since Austin's late, I suppose we could go possibly extend it by 15 minutes. I was gonna end at 2 hours and 30 minutes into it, but maybe we can go as long as 2 hours and 45 minutes just for Austin. I just feel bad leaving right after he shows up, but I've got things I gotta freaking do at some point here. But thanks for your advice if you would go on for another hour. Austin Wilcutt says, I have Mutilator as well. Yeah, a great Arrow Video Blu-ray release. Verisimilitude 86 says, great Doc 2, plus I'm jazzed to see there's a sequel in the works. What are we talking about? The Mutilator? Is the guy going to actually do the sequel he talked about in the interviews? Austin Wilcutt says, I watched Aliens again on Blu-ray recently. Summerhill Cinema's got to go. He says, have a great day, everyone. It's been fun. Thank you very much again for showing up. Summerhill Cinema 700. Have a good week, good day. Freezing our asses off. Did you, Austin Wilcutt, did you enjoy watching Aliens again on Blu-ray recently? He says, yes, let's see here. The first Blu-ray of it and the 4K scan looked great. It's weird. It was shot in 4:3. Wade Wilson says, we own Aliens on DVD and Laserdisc. My Laserdisc version of Aliens isn't the extended version. Yeah, probably from the 80s. Wade Wilson says, the extended version of Aliens has more backstory, so I kind of hate that it's not on the Laserdisc I have of it. But at the same time, if it's one from the 80s, that's some classic Aliens Laserdisc stuff. Austin Wilcutt says, apparently the director of The Mutilator's original negative he had was stolen, so they had to use a UK print with the title Fall Break to remaster the uncut version. Yeah, it's a bummer, but at least they had a good freaking source for the uncut version. They didn't have to go to standard definition inserts for that. That was huge, because most of the time they got to do that. So at least we got, that movie in a good version. Wade Wilson says, I also picked up the Terminator recently on Laserdisc, and oh my God, it's a great Laserdisc release. It comes very close to DVD quality. On my high-end Laserdisc player, it has its own unique look about it. So Wade, where do you get all these Laserdiscs? Just various sites online? Did you get them mostly from that site you talked about, Laserdisc database? Austin Wilcutt says features are great on Mutilator Blu-ray. Yeah, I can remember that as well. It's been quite a while now. It's 6 years ago, hasn't it? Verisimilitude 86 says, yeah, that's what I was referring to. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't believe. I mean, the guy was old 6 years ago. I can't believe he's still going to try to do the sequel. Well, more power to him. Austin Wilcutt says, I don't think the Alien anthology Blu-ray set can be topped. It might be possible. I personally only have the first 3 on Blu-ray because I don't really like the 4th one. I just bought them separately. Austin Wilcutt says Aliens looks fantastic on Blu-ray. I think Cameron remastered it in 4K if I remember right. Same with part 1. Yeah, I think we. The ironic thing is, I think freaking the first one looks better than the second one. Verisimilitude 86 says I'm seeing the original Star Wars trilogy in the theater later this month. Should be a blast. Well, how the hell do they? So is that special editions? I can only assume it's the special editions, right? It's not the pre-special edition versions. But either way, that'll be fun. Austin Wilcutt says Night of the Demons 1 had to use VHS inserts for the unrated Anchor Bay DVD, but Scream Factory found the original sources for the uncut scenes for their Blu-ray. Yeah, they were trying so hard to find the film versions of the inserts for Silent Night, Deadly Night as well before that came out, and alas, they couldn't. It's just such a shame. But you can understand that freaking making a low-budget movie in the 80s, you know, who the hell's going to even... Oh, it's such a shame that those shots got lost or destroyed. But, you know, I'm thinking, who's going to want these shots on film? No one's going to know anything about this movie in a couple of years. Little to their surprise, is it the opposite? Verisimilitude 86 says I have the Aliens box set with the xenomorph wrapped around the egg. Great set. Oh wow, they put out a lot of versions I never knew about. Austin Wilcutt says Alien 4 is pretty bad. I agree. Should have never been made and wasn't necessary after Alien 3. A Ripley clone. What the fuck? Yeah. Yeah, for me it ends with 3. Wade Wilson says, speaking of Night of the Demons, I own that on Laserdisc, and that's a beautiful pen and scan release. Cool. Did you hear my question, Wade Wilson, about where do you get the majority of your Laserdisc? I mean, if you don't want to answer, that's cool. Verisimilitude 86 says, yeah, special edition versions. That's cool, better than nothing, I guess. You can just go to the bathroom during the Jabba the Hutt scene or the musical scene in Return of the Jedi. Austin Wilcutt says it's a shame about Silent Night uncut scenes, but better than nothing, though. That's true. Verisimilitude 86 says they're doing an Alien TV series now. Yeah, everything's TV series. Pardon me, that sounded... Pardon me. All right, so we're basically getting close to 2 hours and 30 minutes in. Tell you what, Austin, I'm afraid all I can do is 15 more minutes since we've been doing this for 2.5 hours. I'm sorry. I feel bad, but 15 more minutes, we can get a lot more fun in. And we can cram a lot of fun into 15 minutes. Austin Wilcutt says studios are stupid as hell for throwing out the original negatives of these uncut scenes. Utterly stupid. Yeah, but you can also understand if you're doing a low budget movie that people figure, or you know, the producers are figuring no one's ever gonna, you know, they're gonna see it once and then it's just gonna disappear into the annals of American history. You can also understand that their point of view, but I agree. I mean, don't destroy that stuff, but whatever. Things happen. Wade Wilson says, I get them from, referring to the Laserdiscs from eBay and Laserdisc database. It's a mixed bag. I try to find the best prices. It's hard to find some of these for good prices. People treat Laserdiscs like they are gold. Okay, I think you were the one talking about the ridiculous prices for Jason Goes to Hell Laserdiscs, which is ironic because it's such a, in my opinion, it's such a stupid movie. Austin Wilcutt says, do you prefer the director's cut of Alien or theatrical? I like the theatrical more because I think it just screws up the pacing, personally. When she goes down there and finds, because the director's cut has her going down there and finding like Dallas and stuff like alive in the stuff, right? Yeah, I just think that screws up the pacing. I think, to be honest, what he added in the director's cut, I think just was all unnecessary. Austin Wilcutt says, not sure how I feel about Marvel releasing new Aliens comics. Yeah, I know nothing about comics, so, I mean, who the hell, I mean, Versimilitude 86 says the Alien Location game is the best thing they have done with the Alien franchise. Alien Isolation game is the best thing they have done with the Alien franchise in a long time. If you're talking about the same, if I'm thinking of the same game you're talking about, I actually got that. I actually got it the same day I saw the last Alien movie in the theater. Was that in 2017? When I came out of the theater, I went right to a video game place, and I just like that made me want to get that video game. And that game is probably the best. That is so awesome to be able to play in the universe, or we can just say the universe from the original movie, and having all those sound effects from the first movie and stuff. Yeah, I have to agree. Great comment. What a great game that is, Alien Isolation. It captures the feeling of the first movie so perfectly. And, oh my God. I think I agree. That's the best thing that has happened to the Alien franchise since the third movie. Austin Wilcutt says, I'm dying to see the uncut footage of Friday the 13th, Part 5. I mean, is that something that exists? I can only assume if it existed, we would have seen it on the recent Blu-ray or Scream Factory Blu-ray release. That stuff must be gone forever. Versimilitude 86 says, seeing the Friday the 13th cut gore finally was so amazing. Never thought we'd ever see it. To think it was sitting on a VHS tape all this time. I'm assuming you're talking about the footage for Part 2. Yeah, I guess for me it was cool, but I guess it left me a little underwhelmed. It was also cool to finally see the Jeff and Sandra death as intended. And as I said in my review of the recently released Blu-ray Part 2, also cool to see Scott's death uncut, ironically. It's to say that his neck cutting is uncut. Austin Wilcutt says, do you like the assembly cut of Alien 3 better? I haven't seen that in a while. I can remember thinking it was interesting. I guess I can't remember necessarily it enough to really even talk about it. I can remember thinking that there were things about the alternate cut of Alien 3 that were cooler, but I also feel like maybe there was a pacing issue with that. I can't remember enough about that to comment on that. But I remember liking aspects of like the dog being the face hugger. Or wait, I can't remember. There were differences. I can't remember because in the movie it was a dog. Wasn't it like a cut? Wasn't it something else in the other cut? I don't remember. It was interesting to see differences. We'll put it that way. Wade Wilson says Epic Games was offering it for free a couple of months ago for a limited amount of time, Alien Isolation, which is a $40 game when it was being offered free a couple months ago. He got it for free. Well, good for you. I paid like $13 for it on Xbox 360, so used, so it was definitely worth that price. Austin Wilcutt says the older Dark Horse comics of Aliens and Predator are excellent. I highly recommend those if you want an EU. Well, thank you very much for the recommendation. Austin Wilcutt says, yes, Friday 13th Part 2 uncut footage was awesome. Verisimilitude 86 is crying with laughter over, I think probably because I said do I like the assembly cunt of Alien 3 better? It's, the chat is behind, so. Austin Wilcutt says, apparently the new beginning footage exists, but they can't find it at the moment. I bet it's rotting in a hot warehouse somewhere. Yeah, probably on a VHS or a beta tape. I didn't know anything about that. It'd be really interesting to see that as well. The new beginning. I mean, apparently there was a big, long sex scene that they cut out. I mean, how cool would it be to see the uncut sex scene? I mean, the guy who made the movie, I guess, had directed porn before or something. So, yeah, I can concur. Like seeing anything, any cut footage from New Beginning would be really fun, especially like sex scene stuff. Austin Wilcutt also says the theatrical cut of Alien 3 had the dog. Oh, okay. Yeah, it seemed like it was a freaking cow. The assembly had the dead ox. Yeah. I was going to say that, but I'm like, it doesn't sound right. All I can remember about the alternate version of the Alien 3 is just having it interesting to see different elements. I can't comment on which one I like better. I don't know the alternate one well enough. Austin Wilcutt says, I thought the special edition of Aliens was a little better than theatrical. Yeah, see, I like the theatrical version of the first movie, Alien, more, and then the special edition of Aliens I definitely prefer over the theatrical because of all of the extra character study stuff. Verisimilitude 86 says, I personally think an Alien versus Predator TV series could be good if done right. Yeah, I don't doubt that's the case. I guess at my age, I'm just kind of getting over a lot of stuff like Aliens and Predator and all this shit, especially when they've done so many things that have been not particularly the most amazing stuff. You just kind of get over certain stuff. But for those interested, that could be kind of cool. It seems like everything's kind of going to TV or whatever, cheaper production. Well, especially if movie theaters are going to frickin' go extinct. Be interesting to see what the hell happens. Verisimilitude 86 asks, Nate, do you play the Friday 13th game? No, I talked about this earlier. The most recent console I got is Xbox 360. So I thought about for the longest time buying a console to play it on. But another thing I don't like is that he doesn't just have like single player option. From what I understand, it's all online play, which I'm not keen on either. So the answer to that is, as much as I'd love to try the game, Friday the 13th, I haven't, because I'd have to buy a system or whatever. Austin Wilcutt says also the Alien Blu-rays seem to have the original audio mixes as an option, but I'm not sure. I noticed Aliens has the Dolby Surround 2.0 version on track 2. Yeah, it's hard to know if that's going to be, I guess you'd have to compare if it's going to be the original sound or just the stereo version of the new sound. You'd have to do a comparison. Austin also says they should do a remake. They should just remake Aliens versus Predator and do it right this time. Follow the original comic word for word. It would have worked if they had done that in 2004. Very possible. He also says, and get a better director than Paul Anderson. Yeah, there you go. Wade Wilson says they could have made it for 360 and PS3, referring to Friday the 13th game, I think. In my opinion, the PS4 and the Xbox One wasn't a big increase in jump graphics-wise. Main benefits is the resolution. Yeah, he says I was talking about Friday the 13th game. Exactly. I mean, it could be one. There could have just as well be one for 360, but it was so long after that. Verisimilitude 86 says, nah, there's no offline play that plays homage to the movies. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that I'm not interested in the Friday the 13th game, because let's just have single player freaking story mode. All right, guys, 5 minutes remaining. I'm sorry, Austin Wilcott. I've been doing this for 2 hours and 40 minutes. I'm dead. So, Austin, if you care to share, what time is it where you are? Is it late or early, or it's too bad you can't show up sooner, because I feel bad, but at the same time, I got things to do myself. So Austin says they should do a new Friday the 13th game once the legal battles are over. Yeah, if that ever happens. Someone informed me that Sean Cunningham's starting new ones. It's just like, oh my God. Austin says, why not a Hellraiser game set in hell? That would be interesting. Or better yet, in the post-2020 world on Earth, that would probably be worse than hell. All right, guys. I'm sorry to do this to you, Austin, but we got let's see here, coming on 3 minutes left of show. Sorry to do it. Wade Wilson says they need to make a new Nightmare on Elm Street game. Yeah, have they ever made one since the NES version? I don't remember. God, have they made one since that? Austin says it's 3:30. Oh, we're on the same frickin' time then. 3:37 p.m., but I just got online a few minutes ago. I forgot you had a stream today. Yeah, starting at every Thursday for the winter anyway, starting at 1 p.m. It sounds like we're on the same time zone. So, yeah, I can't stay for much longer. I can go for 3 more minutes. But, yeah, try to remember Thursday starting at 1 p.m. and that way I don't bail on you. But I can't go on any longer than 2 hours and 45 minutes of this all at once. He says, I forgot you had a stream today. It's okay, Nate. I'll be there next week. Yeah, if you can be here earlier, that'd be great. Wade Wilson says they have an NES and Commodore one. I've only really played the NES version, referring to the Nightmare on Elm Street game. And the NES version is fun, even though it has a little to do with Freddy at times in the game. There's random enemies in the game. I still have the NES version of Nightmare on Elm Street. I always thought that was great. And how cool was it that you could play 4 players, although I've never done that, 4 players with 4 people at once. I remember liking the game a lot. I actually liked the NES Nightmare on Elm Street game probably more than Friday the 13th NES game. It was just fun. It was just funner for me. I don't know why. I don't think I finished his comment. He said, the NES version is fun, even though it has little to do with Freddy at times in the game. There is random enemies in the game. Wade Wilson says, Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm talking about. Verisimilitude 86 says, great stream, Nate. It was a blast. Thank you very much for showing up. Wade Wilson says, hope to see you guys. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Hope to see you guys next week. Wade Wilson says, I have the 4 score and a copy of the NES version. I just don't have 3 other people to play with. Yeah, well, that sucks. Either do I. Austin Wilcutt says Child's Play 2 to 3 needs special editions with features. Yeah, who knows? Maybe Scream Factory can do a Chucky franchise thing. All right, folks, 30 seconds left. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. I got to sign off. Austin, maybe if you can possibly get here a little sooner next week, that would be great. I can't go on anymore. I'm dying here. So there you go. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. Appreciate all your participation in the chat. Try to keep up with it as good as I can. In closing, Wade Wilson says Child's Play 2 has an extended copy of it. Interesting. Verisimilitude says I'll try to be on next week. But when you start at 6 a.m. here, yes, he's in Australia. Sorry about that. It's hard to get the perfect time for everyone around the world. We do what we can. Wade Wilson says bye, Nate. Austin says, okay, bye, Nate. See you guys hopefully next week. Have a great week. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, stay warm, and we shall see you next time.